Yeah. Okay. Test, man. Test. Yes, sir. This thing's bright. Turn this down just a little bit. Wrong way. Oh, no, that's right way. Yeah, I'm cool with the little darker tint. Makes the camera look quality. Look, you can literally see the autograph. My back up to it. You can kind of see. Oh, my goodness, man. We are live. Chat, can I get a 1 if we sound good? Can I get a 1 if we sound good? Also, if you can hear the beat faintly. Can you hear a little bit of a beat in the background? Oh, an echo? Okay, let me double check that. Yeah, that should be good. Okay, let me double check here. Yeah, let me know. We got a 2. How we sound? Okay, we got a lot of 1s. All right. We got the audio locked in. We look good. We sound good, I guess. That's good, man. We're back. Guys, I wanted to change it up a little bit. Shout out to everybody that's in the chat, man. I'll give it a second. If there is an echo, yeah, let me know. Because I don't know what that would be coming from. So I can, well, that might fix it right there. If there is an echo, that might fix it. So, we'll see. Let's give it a sec. But yeah, so we're going live, man. And I'm going to do this kind of, I guess, similar to the videos that we posted. But last night, I posted the training camp video, like, 9:30? First off, my chargers just died on me, all across the board. So I was like, dang, I got to hit the store. So I rode to the store, picked up chargers, that way I could get that video out. I felt bad. I was like, dang, this video's out too late. And this was the last one of the week before preseason. So I was like, you know what, man, let's just go live. Let's talk about it. A little bit shorter today. So we have a little bit less notes in general. But it was good. It was good across the board. So I think we got a lot of good notes. We're going to go through the unofficial depth chart because there's a couple things I want to touch on there. And then also some injury updates. And then if you guys have any questions, because there are definitely going to be things that maybe I don't bring up that I saw or I've seen over the time I've been there. And you guys are like wondering about something. If I can answer it, I will. If I can't, I won't. But I know we'll know a lot more Friday. Now, unfortunately, quick note. I know I told you I'd try to get more defensive notes. It was on the same side today. So we were, again, right in front of offense. I could have really tried to focus on defense and probably had some things wrong and just had a couple good things in there. But I was like, yeah, I'm just going to focus on what I can see. And then what I can't see, we'll learn more about Friday. And I'll get the notes that I can because I just want to get the best notes. So let me make sure there's no ad coming on here. So that's what we did. Going live is clutch. I'm excited for this, chat. How we doing? We got a lot of fire emojis. Y'all are saying that's good. We got the beats going. We got Ken in the building. We got Man Seated. We got Kevin. We got Jeff. We got Go Blue. We got Crypto. We got Kevin B313 Pride. Crypto again is in the building. DT Fairman, my guy. JT, we sound good. What up, though, my man? Peanuts in the building. So, yeah, there's going to be things that I have that some others probably don't. And there's going to be things that others have that I probably don't. So, I'm going to do what I can. Giants punch back today. I would say from the notes that I got, majority was Lions offense. At the end, we got to see some defense specifically. I would say they fought back. In terms of they forced us to fumble the ball a lot, which was not good, not promising. There was clearly some work after the day. We had just random. I think we had like 4 fumbles. We had like 4 fumbles today. Just all felt random, and they were just like popping out of nowhere. And I don't know what was going on with that. I'm not like super concerned, but it is something to note. They definitely came out on a mission. So, yeah, it was bad. I didn't understand that at all. I did like is that the main culprit, the guy that did it twice, I'll talk about him. After practice, he was out there running through bags, holding on to the football. So, I like that he took that upon himself. And we'll get into all that stuff. The truth is in the building. Just got back from the pool. Oh, that sounds good. Monty had a ton of fumbles. I had him with 2 fumbles today. You just spoiled it. It's okay. We're going to get to it anyway. It's fine. Hey, let's start with this first, though. Let's start. I had this video just randomly playing. I want to start with the injury report for the Lions. I'll have this playing in the background. We'll let this thing play. And I think the Lions posted this yesterday. We'll let this play. And, oh, okay. Maybe it's just not going to play. All right. You know what? Forget that. We're not going to let that play because I don't even know what it is. So let's just go right to the injury report. Let's not waste no time here, man. Let's get right into it. Now, again, some of these I don't have like exactly clear information. So, for example, if I say, hey, they didn't practice it, I don't always know maybe why, but I can tell you what I saw. So some of the stuff we're kind of still waiting on information here, or I haven't seen it yet. But I'll go through this really quickly. So this is what I saw today, the main things in terms of the injury side. We also made a roster move, and it kind of threw me off because he wasn't on the depth chart or the team roster, so I didn't even know who he was. We is talking practice. We are talking practice, man. Hey, but you know what? I would say this. the positive, here's the positive of the day, is that while Monty had the 2 fumbles that I noted, the positive was the run game really picked up. Yesterday was not impressive at all. We have been a little bit more versatile with some of the scheming we've done in terms of just the way that we've ran block. But today it was definitely more successful, much more efficient. So you see on the injury updates here, you can see what we're looking at. We got Ozigbo, who was signed from Nebraska. And this probably has something to do with, as you can see on the bottom, some of the injuries. Now, Jamar happened today. He was limping around. He was shut down on a run play. It was like a lead run play. He was brought down behind the line. So he was limping around. I didn't see him after that. That was before the ending scrimmage. And so obviously that's something to keep an eye on. Also, Craig Reynolds, he's been out. He was out again today. I think I saw him on the sideline, but he wasn't padded. If that was him, it was just a guy on a hoodie, then he wasn't padded or anything like that. And also Daryl Davis, the tight end, has been out as well. The positive is that the other tight end that we signed at the same time, Daniel Helm, I think has started to kind of rise a little bit, which is really good. He's been getting some good snaps with the Lions. He's been making some good plays, and he's shown some really good trust, and we'll talk about that. And then again, Denzel Mims was back. I always want to say Marvin Mims. He was back today, but though he was back, I didn't see him necessarily through a lot of the team drills. So he was back, but I didn't see him for a majority of the team stuff. And most of it was team stuff. Like, it wasn't like yesterday where you had the one-on-ones. That wasn't happening today. And then on the right, it's kind of the same old there. Benson hoping for next week, you know, that kind of thing. It seems like that's what's expected. Mosley, Bridgewater, we'll probably see him like next week. And yeah, that's kind of the same old stuff. So hopefully I flew through that quick enough. If you guys, again, want to know anything, if I know something, I'll tell you. Playing Madden, doing a draft, 340-pound nose tackle. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous, the truth. Please draft him. You may have found him next Broderick Jones. I mean, I brought a name around 0465, but you know what I'm saying? Yeah, we did run well today. Okay, wish it was Friday night. Can't wait. Oh, man, I know. It's going to be so amazing. Hey, real quick, we will be streaming for that game. We will be live for that game, so... And I guess I could leave this on the screen. I'm going to take it off the screen. But we will be live for that game over here. And then we'll be doing a post-game show immediately with Bleacher Report. And, yeah, so tune into both. I mean, if you can, on Friday. If you're not at the game. Jonah's out and the run game improved. Oh, yeah. Did I put Jonah on there? I did put Jonah. Okay, I moved over that one. Jonah's out and the run game improved. Yes. So who's repping? Great question. So a lot of it's been KO'd, who's been getting the reps at left guard. It's really been a mix. And let me make sure that this doesn't flip on me. But it's really been a mix between KO'd and Darren Paulo. Those have been the guys that have really mixed in at that left guard spot. Now, we've seen a lot of movement within the offensive line, but those two guys have specifically held it down. And usually it's been KO who they lean to first at left guard. And today, for example, they put Graham at center because there's no Frank Ragnow. I didn't mention that, but there's no Frank. And they would put at right guard Big V. So that's kind of what it looks like. And then they'll mix Paulo in as well. He'll get some starting first team reps. I'll be watching Dose. I appreciate that, Jeff. Marshawn out there. Yeah, Marshawn was there, man. Yesterday he was there. He's walking around. He came in front of the bleachers. I didn't know what he was doing. All right. He was in front of the bleachers for a second. He was right there with the running backs. And then I just don't know where he went. So he was there for a minute. You could tell who he was. That dude stands out. All right. He really does. But yeah, Marshawn was there. That was pretty cool. And for a second there was like a little bit of a chant. People were trying to be like, Marshawn. It didn't happen. No chant really. You know, that's the most awkward thing. If you try to start a chant and no one's like behind it. I feel for y'all. I feel for those people. But anyways, let's get to it, man. Y'all want to hear the notes. So let's do it. I'm going to try to be more interactive. So again, I'm watching the chat the whole time. If you guys have things that you want to know, throw it in the chat. We can spread this out a little bit more, but I still want to hit on a lot of the key notes here like I usually do. I'm trying to be better with this. I really am. Ragnar's wife just gave birth. There you go. That's the reason why. Dose, what up, G? How do DTs look? DTs. Well, okay, so I'll be honest. It's difficult to see them. I think over the last few days, I've given, some love to Chris Smith. We're going to go through the unofficial depth chart at the end here. We'll talk a little bit more about that. I'll kind of roll through this and I'll kind of go to it. I wouldn't say there's been a guy that's completely stood out. If you want to throw Pascal into that, I would say he has. McNeil's seemingly taken a step. I wouldn't say it's something that he looks game-wrecking when he's out there. But again, most of the focus the last 2 days for me have been on the offense side of the ball because that's what I've seen the best. Outside of that, it's a lot of notes from the past. All right, so I'll throw that. Glasgow's back up over Pierce Baker. Yes, they put Glasgow at center, then they go Big V at right guard. Probably just trying to get the best 5. We know Ross can play it, and he seemed to do actually pretty well. But I think that they just try to get the best 5. They feel like it's a better 5 having Graham out there than having Ross out there. That way they can get him on the field. I appreciate your live streams. I live out of state, so this is how I get. Well, I appreciate you being in here, so let's do it. All right, I'm going to start here, guys. Individual drills. So here's a couple of the takeaways I had. Key takeaways. First off, they're going through drills. There was no one-on-ones today. What's up, Captain. I think that's your name, Captain something. They said Daniel Jones slicing us up. Yeah, again, like, I didn't get to see as much of that side, so most of my notes here are going to come offense until we get to the 20-minute scrimmage, and then I can give you some notes on that. I saw some things here and there, but it's nothing consistent enough for me to say this guy was lightened up. Because I'm like, I don't know. If I looked over and a guy gave a reception, doesn't necessarily mean he was bad. He may have just had one bad play, and I looked up at the wrong time. Because, you know, one of the plays I looked up, there's a good play. And I was like, hey, that was good. My man Esther Hutchinson was. Yesterday, first play of scrimmage, he had a sack. I've seen him, when I have looked up, he's in the backfield a lot. So if there is one thing with Hutch, he is consistently in the backfield. That's clear. Couple things to that, though. You're asking about edge rushers. So one thing that we've seen is, or I saw today, off-ball linebackers. They do a lot of their coverage drops, a lot of reps like that, early individual drills. Well, what you saw today was Charles Harris mixing in, James Houston mixing in, those edge rushers or the sandbackers that play on the line of scrimmage. You see a lot of those guys moving around in coverage, doing work with them as well, you know, prepping for that kind of role. Not necessarily the Hutchinsons, but more of those kind of players. So that's something. I thought Malcolm Rodriguez looked really good in his zone drop. He had a one-handed grab, man. He looked really explosive. And then also, Jamison Williams was wearing gloves. I know I talked about him not wearing gloves. He doesn't through like walk through. Like he'll catch, you know, before the practice. But then once they get going, he had the gloves on today. So I know I thought about him not wearing gloves. I wanted to bring that up. About little run with the police while asleep behind the wheel. I mean, yeah, everybody knows about his little run. It was with the police, sleep behind the wheel. Okay. Shout out to you and the King the other day at training camp. It was cool getting to meet you. Yes, sir. My man Cruz. Hey, shout out to you, man. I appreciate that. It's always super cool when I get to meet some of you guys there. That's always awesome. Representing the D from down here in Tennessee. Hey, you made that rhyme, Trevor. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, the depth chart's going to be tough. We're going to go through. It's going to be difficult. So Hutch is a pain in the backside. Others who go against him, that's good. Yeah, Hutchinson's been Hutchinson's kind of a pain wherever he's aligned, it seems. But I think James Houston, you specifically have noted him against the run. He's been a pain on the backside because he a lot of times is kind of the free guy off the edge. And when they do that, he's so fast. He shuts down things in a hurry, man. So it's like you can leave him unblocked, but he's much more athletic than a lot of guys that are in that spot. So as long as they feel comfortable he can handle those, he becomes a problem. So I'll get into this. Offense, first team offense first. We'll start it off. I'll read through some of the notes here. Start off a little Khalif Raymond out route to get kind of things going. Then it was Josh Reynolds who had like a kind of a deep post back of the end zone. Pass was incomplete. It was overthrown on the play. And then they came back to Amon-Ra St. Brown to kind of get it going. I mean, the offense here took a second. I felt specifically the first team to get rolling. They definitely held up a lot better. We were going through to begin these like 5-on-8 drills. So offense would have specifically five weapons on the field. So for example, you'd see like James Mitchell at running back. Defense had 8 players. No trenches like yesterday, so no D-line, no offensive line. Just weapons on weapons. And so they obviously they outnumber you. The big thing is that because of that, they have an opportunity, because they're not blitzing, to bracket in coverage. So you'll have like linebackers sit inside leverage and a slot can force it inside. So you'll have those kind of things where it can be very difficult to attack middle of the field when it's done well. And I think a couple things. One, route discipline is going to be key for some of the depths we have, because I thought once we got kind of lower in the depth chart, there was a lot of plays that were completely taken away. And it was almost like they were just, you know, shutting off the faucet, if you will, like just getting inside and shutting down the routes and forcing us to break out and do something extra to try to get a pass in there. So that's going to be huge, just kind of the discipline when they can bracket things in like that. And it was a slower start, but the first team offense, they had some completions to get it going as a touchdown. Khalif Raymond, and then, like I said, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Now, he would have been hit pretty hard by the safety if this was a real game, I assume. But knowing St. Brown, he probably still would have held on to it. So, you know, I don't really take that against him. Did you see our rookie DT? I've seen the rookie DT, not as much as I've wanted to. He's long, he's big. You can see that when you just watch him walk out there. And I love that you're seeing him utilized in a lot of two gapping assignments. So they're really kind of leaning into, like, this is a different body type than we have. We're not going to play him like everybody else. You know, meaning like, yeah, we can attack, react, that kind of thing. He's very rotational. He's a second string right now behind Isaiah Buggs, which is great for him. But when they put him in there, they give different alignments up front because, and I think a big part of this is, real quick side note, what's huge when Broderick comes in, and as he continues to roll into a bigger role, here's what's going to be difficult. They put Broderick at the zero technique, right? So they'll get him responsible for the A gaps on both sides. He's got the length to do that. He's done it at Western Kentucky. It just needs to be more consistent. Although, when he does that, you'll see them a lot of times put 2 defensive tackles or defensive ends in 3 techniques, meaning shading the outside shoulder of an offensive guard. That gives them a potential two-way go because they know that he can handle both gaps. So they're making him kind of clog space there. When they do that, it allows the Josh Pascals, the Aleem McNeils, the John Kaminsky's, right? So you can go a little bit lighter because of that, because they can play through a gap there. It allows those guys to really get work one-on-one against a guard, especially if they put 2 edge rushers out there. They'll put 2 9s, so they'll put like James Houston on one side. They'll put Hutch on the other, or Charles. That way they feel like they can drop into coverage. So you need to have a lot of versatility from those guys. They have to prove themselves that they can drop because we don't always want 5 guys rushing. But the positive is that when they give you those 5-man fronts, you're getting a lot of one-on-one opportunities, and he can create that because of his size in the inside and the length and all those things. So that's the fuel I have for Broderick. It's really just the potential more so than seeing him dominate, because again, it's just kind of hard for what I was sitting to see it over these last 2 days. But it's more so like what you can see everybody else becomes when he's out there. And Josh Pascal has been popping. And the more one-on-ones he's going to get, the more living behind the line you're going to get. Aleem McNeil has lived behind the line of scrimmage. You're going to consistently get that if he can handle his own. Now, he's not the go-to, but when he comes in, he's fueled up because he's the backup, and it'll be something I assume we see a lot of rotations through the year. But we've seen a lot of D-line looks. I don't think it's going to look the same. We're not going to go out there every time, and the defense is going to have the same, look like, oh, man, they're playing this again. It's going to be very versatile, very flexible. A lot of different bodies are going to roll in. As I said yesterday, I saw Kaminsky and Pascal on the field at the same time, and I was like, this is awesome, Like, that's something that is just really cool to see because last year was almost like one or the other. This year, because of having a guy like Broderick, they felt like they could put both on the field, and that's really cool. So that's the fuel I got for that. Defense in general. But, yeah, I mean, look, my takeaways would mainly be from what I've seen so far versus us because, again, I haven't got great notes from the other side. Versus our side, I thought the big thing from our defense early was secondary, just in terms of reliability. Cam Sutton's reliability. You kind of know what he is, but you know what he is. Like, there's a good side of that. Like, yeah, he's limited. Okay, not everything's perfect. Not every matchup is perfect. And he'll give up receptions. We saw that today. But the flip side is you know exactly what he is on one side of the field. So you're very confident in knowing where he's going to be good, where is he not going to be so good. And then mainly, the big thing I'll say here is Brian Branch. So Brian Branch, we saw it again today, you saw it yesterday, so it's consistent. Brian Branch lining in the nickel role with first team. And this starts very beginning of scrimmage. They put CJ at safety, and they put Brian Branch in the nickel position. Now, we'll see how it plays out by the time we get to the regular season. But one, that tells you they're very confident in Brian Branch, because 2, that puts Tracy Walker on the sideline to begin. Now, Tracy's going to play. But because you do that, it's very interesting because we know Tracy's contract and what they feel about him. Kirby stays on the field as well because he's just a ball hawk. But if you have CJ and Kirby, I anticipate we're going to have some ball hawks in the back end. And I have no issue with it because so far, everything I've seen, Brian Branch has handled himself. He's looked like a vet. So we'll have to see how that competition plays out. But it looks pretty good. He's like another Damon Hamilton. Wow, that's it. Are you talking about dude from the Jaguars? Is that, or are you talking about Snacks Harrison? You might be talking about Snacks. I'm assuming you're talking about Snacks Harrison. All right, let's continue, though. A couple more notes today. So we moved on to Nate Sudfeld. That was kind of the first unit, 4 plays. Pretty good. No big shots there. The shot they took was incomplete. But then he moved on to the second unit here, and this is the first thing I noted it. James Mitchell lined at running back. Now, because they're playing, just 5 weapons, this just happens. It's not going to be consistent in the season. But one thing I've noticed is a lot of the attack for James Mitchell has been underneath, whether that's lining him out wide, slants, whether that's like this, putting him at running back, running flats. A lot of his route tree has been level 1 passes. It's been underneath. It's been get the ball in his hands quickly, let him run after the catch. There's been a couple like seam shots to him, but where he's really seemingly lived for the Lions is underneath and being that kind of weapon. The positive is he's shown some flexibility as well. He doesn't separate like Laporta, and I don't think he's even shown the hands that Laporta has. But it feels like they're pretty comfortable with allowing him to move around. And there would be even times today you saw him line up at fullback. Like he would line at fullback and maybe he'd motion out, but he'd line there. So I think that's, okay, we have a really good play for Amani today. So Amani's on the other side. I got a really good note for that. Stay tuned. We're going to get to that in a second here because someone had a nice catch on Amani today. And let's see if someone can guess. Who do you think had a nice catch on Amani? Give me some names in the chat. We had a little check down to Jefferson, and then we came back here to Sam Laporta. And this was a really nice read. Again, going through these drills, Nate Sudfeld. So on one side of the field, they basically, like I said, they bracketed in. So they had their off-ball linebacker bracket in the routes to the inside. Flip side, they got Sam Laporta against the linebacker from the slot. Because, again, he's just not lining in line. He's lining a lot in different spots. Same thing with Gibbs we saw today. But it gives him leverage. So he did a little out route. They ran vertical on the outside, created a ton of space. Very good read. Here's my overarching takeaway from the offense. All right, something that I wrote down. No, Teddy, we expect next week. Here's one of my overarching takeaways. I love I wouldn't say simplicity. I'm not going to act like I know their offense. But it seems like a very quarterback-friendly style offense. Yet at the same time, it's not easy to defend. And here's what I mean. Here's why I say that. It's not just saying that. Here's why I say that. Shout out to my man Royal Kush with the $2.99. I appreciate you, my guy. Appreciate you, man. Thanks for stopping in. Here's why I say this. You notice for all three units, specifically the first and second because you see them more often, you notice the ability of those guys to get to the line, make calls, audible, check in and out of things based on their keys. So they get up to the line and they're all having really good success with this. They can recognize what they're looking in. For example, I'll give you a great example. Like it got to the point where there were some plays, I'm not gonna say I'm like out here just like, I know exactly what they're running. But there was like one example where they took a shot to J-Mo. And I could literally see that the shot was coming. And then there was another play, you could see it was coming. And I literally said it again. I was like, oh, crosses are coming here. And it's because, not necessarily because like, you know, oh, I'm like some mastermind. Obviously, there's a lot of things I don't know what's going on. You could notice screens. It's just like very simple. They'll throw screens when they have the numbers. They audible the different looks. If they have a single high safety, they went to run crossing routes. There was a look where J-Mo was lined in the slot with the second unit, slot alignment. And what they did was they came out and the safeties rolled up. They were kind of playing too deep, but they were really rolled up. They were like 8 yards from the line of scrimmage. And as soon as they did that, you could see Sudfeld's taking a shot. Took a deep post shot. It was kind of like a sack, so it threw off the timing. Didn't happen. The positive is, though, we've seen a lot of that. Very, seemingly very, I don't want to say simple, but understood by the quarterbacks. Well, at the same time, it doesn't make it easy for the defense because they can show you one thing, and then they have to account for something different because the offense seemingly comes out with, like, we're going to do this, this, or this. And then it's like, what do we get? Okay, we'll go to this. All right, we'll go back to this. It's like they're just moving all the time. And sometimes I think it's by design without even audibling. Like, for example, they'll go out there and they'll line their tight ends all out wide, and then they'll bring them all in. They'll go 13 personnel to bring them all in. They'll run the football. Other times, I think it's just we get out there, we see the look, and we'll audible from that. We've seen a lot of it, and Sudfeld has seemingly picked it up. Welcome, Nick W. I appreciate you. Thank you for becoming a member, my guy. Do we end up keeping that receiver out of UNC? He is still here. Antoine Green, I thought had his best day yesterday, so definitely check that video out. Thought it was his best day. How Levi look? Levi's been hard to get a tell on. One, because it's hard for me to see defense. Two, because he's been kind of like with the bottom unit. He's played with the Chris Smiths, those guys. So he hasn't really popped to me like that. Obviously, the biggest thing is him getting healthy. Friday will be big for him to see how many snaps he gets. That's what I'll be looking for. Bye-bye Sudfeld or Martinez. Well, here's the thing. Sudfeld is getting a healthy majority of those snaps. Martinez will come in and get like 2 reps, and then he'll come back off the field. Although, Martinez has actually played pretty well. Like, there isn't a lot of bad from him. It's more so just Sudfeld is the clear number 2 right now. So I'll continue going on with some more of these notes. All right, so where we leave off there? Okay, we had the Sam Laporta, had the completion, and then they ran a little underneath route to Trey Quinn. Then he moved on. We'll speak on for a second here. Adrian Martinez. So Martinez was the third quarterback out there, and this is what I was talking about. So this first play was an incomplete pass, and I believe this one was. Okay, yeah, I think this one was Antoine Green actually. So this is what I was talking about. When he got to the third unit, they have extra bodies on defense. Both of them ran, I believe, sort of like deep in routes, right? They run deep in routes back of the end zone. Here's the issue. They kind of just sat inside. They bracketed the inside, and they stepped inside of that. It's going to come down to route discipline to really sell that you can open and pry that up when they have extra bodies. That's going to be key for the Lions. The flip side is what you liked is when guys would force themselves open late. And I think Daniel Helm flashed that. He was the guy that ended this drill, and I have it right here, with Adrian Martinez. And what he did was, it was my favorite, it was one of my probably my favorite play of the drill. Because I think he's been starting to show some things. One, he's gaining some trust as a pass catcher and also the flexibilities of route runner. But two, it was things like this. So they were like 5 yards out. And he may not have scored, but he's right at the goal line. He runs like a quick little hitch route. Everything's covered up really well. And what you loved is immediately planted, drove back outside, got right behind a linebacker, made a grab at the goal line. Really great to see him free himself up, made a target for the quarterback. There was another time today on a play action shot, Sudfeld almost just ran into a sack basically, or a tackle, because he was pointing like someone move. It's like, that's going to be key when we get inside some of those tight areas, when we get a little bit lower on the depth chart. The first team, they seem to kind of be much more locked in. It's much more, we know where the ball wants to go. We want to get to Saint. His routes are going to be beautiful, that kind of thing. Oh, okay, well, let's get Laporta in space. But when you get down a little bit on the depth chart and there's less of that clarity, it's going to come down to some of the discipline as these route runners. And that's something I would keep an eye on. Teddy over Sudfeld, probably. I mean, I would assume that's what's going to happen. Who have you seen that's dominant side? Amon-Ra Hutch. Oh, gosh. Tons of guys. We'll get to him. Jahmyr Gibbs has really coming into his own. Sam Laporta's usage is going to be incredible this year. Those guys, I would say Sam Laporta has been pretty dominant, to be honest with you. Dominant, and that stuff. Marvin Jones Jr., really yesterday, but even a little bit more today, he was the guy, if you didn't guess, here you go. Marvin Jones Jr. was the guy that had a just ridiculous touchdown catch on Amani Oruwari. I believe it was on him. We're going to get to that one more, but it was unbelievable. It was an unbelievable catch. Drummond has been very good as well. Drummond's been very good, and I got more good notes for him today. You loved it. I put the post up after practice. He's working with Khalif, Maurice Alexander. Maurice Alexander's been very overlooked in what he's been able to do consistently. Now the last like 4 days, he's put a stretch together, really strong days, leaning into his strengths as we talked about yesterday. I'll continue though, touch on some of these more notes, make sure I don't miss anything going through this 5-on-8 drill at the beginning, and then we'll kind of roll back a little bit here. So now, early on for Jahmyr Gibbs, okay, so the first one we had is the Josh Reynolds incomplete pass. This one was thrown away from the defender. Early on, Jahmyr Gibbs wasn't creating the separation in some of these 5-on-8 drills. The first one, they tried to hit him with, what was it? Oh, yeah, the first one was a pass breakup, covered well at linebacker. They tried to run like a corner route, but he broke in first, faded out to the end zone. And you saw on that, I think the big thing for him is going to be changing the speed of the routes a little bit more. His angle routes are great because he just flies out of the break, and he's so tough to keep up with. The big thing for him, I think, is going to be really dialing in, pacing a route, putting a linebacker asleep, then going. He's extremely fast, and you see when he gets the ball, he's just incredible. But it's going to me come down to the pacing. For example, they run him on a wheel route, he's just like insane to keep up with. But routes like this, a double move, they stuck with him really well on the play. They had him covered up really well, and it was a pass breakup. The positive I took away was that, and this is one of those situations where he just really couldn't come up to the ground, where he just couldn't come up with it after onto the ground here. The positive is he is like very aggressive in traffic. He does catch with his body on some of the routes that maybe you're like, well, he probably could have just caught with his hands. But when he had to catch with his hands, he did. And we'll talk about that. He finished the day at the highest peak, I think, possible that you could have. I'm reading the chat. So, again, feel free to throw stuff in there, man. I'm taking a look at it. We'll have double-digit tackles tomorrow. Barnes will probably light it up tomorrow. I mean, that would not be a bad bet if you're looking for that. Then I had Marvin Jones Jr. with a touchdown. This one was cool. Again, as I kind of touched on, you had that audible line of scrimmage. They had like a trip set to the right, and they had a corner route, a flat route, and they ended up running Marvin Jones Jr. on a little hitch route. And this was from Jared Goff on the play. And that's exactly what it was. They made it audible at the line. He had a look that he liked. Wasn't his first read. He looked corner, then flat, and then fired it in there, Marvin Jones Jr., and he kind of just sat down for a touchdown. We've seen a lot of that from this offense. Then we actually had a pass breakup on Amon-Ra St. Brown. That was something that we actually did see. He was covered very well, kind of ran a little bit of a like a slant into the end zone. We haven't seen a ton of that. We had a miss there to James Mitchell, and then a late touchdown find to James Mitchell a little bit later. And this was one where Jameson was covered pretty well in the play, but James Mitchell opened himself up late. That's going to be key. Opening yourself up late was key today, and the guys that did that well really stood out. So those are some of the early drills. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything key on that one. I don't want to miss anything key on that one because there was some good stuff there. Okay, yeah, we hit on the key stuff there. We'll move on to some of these team drills here because I think there's a lot of good notes for this one. Who starts with Alex? It'll be Jack Campbell. Based on what we've seen, it'll be Jack Campbell. I mean, we'll know more about how he performs in that role. Now, Malcolm, I thought had some up and down from what I got to see. Obviously, I didn't get to see a ton of it, but from what I saw, it's kind of up and down. Although it was Jack Campbell's the starter with him right now. Does J-Mo actually get open most of the time? I would say no. Now, that's not to say that, he doesn't ever get open. He gets open, but it's not like every play he's wide open. He separates over top. He gets steps a lot. And when the route, to me, is a little bit more simplified, it's a post route, it's a go route, it's that kind of thing. He gets leverage, speed outs, things like that. He wins. But in consistently getting, open, I would say no. And I think that's something that they're working on. He looked much better, I thought, going through cones at the beginning of practice, the way that he was just kind of accelerating out of the breaks. He's got a body type that doesn't necessarily suit underneath routes as well. You see what he can do after the catch, so when they throw screens, he's dangerous. But he doesn't consistently separate, in something like the working back to the football. That is an area I think they need working back to the ball for him, top of the route. They need to continue to work on that area, and they are continuing to work there. But he does separate on some of the more, roll through routes, some of the deep like dig routes that they'll run, like DJ Chark last year, separates on those, that kind of thing. But man coverage, it's not like he's always separating. It's kind of hit and miss. And a lot of it starts off the line. Now, I think we've seen some good in there recently, but it does start off the line for him. Jack Campbell isn't getting in. He's got to be a dog. No, Jack Campbell's a starter. Yeah, he's a starter right now. You like Mitchell a lot. Yeah, I mean, Mitchell, it he hasn't really blown me away. He's had a solid day. He's had good. The thing with Mitchell is he hasn't consistently separated in coverage, but like in terms of getting a lot of separation. And he hasn't been extremely dynamic after the catch, but I think they're kind of trying to lean into what's his strengths, get the ball in his hands, and let him be reliable underneath. So I don't think he will ever maybe blow you away, but in his own role, he seems very legitimately solid. And the versatility is going to be key for him because we've seen him move a lot. I appreciate all the 100s and hearts coming in there, man. I appreciate y'all. Are we going 43 or 34 on defense? I would say, I mean, it's more like a 4-3 defense, because one of your positions are a Sam linebacker, but you know, however you want to look at it, the biggest thing is they move around a lot. You'll get 4 down linemen, usually get 3 guys with their hands in the dirt. Sometimes you'll get 2. It just depends. Are we going to sub package, or if our base package is basically our sub package? But you know, sometimes we'll go 3. Usually it's 3 down linemen, and then you'll have 2 stand up edge. You know, that's usually what the Lions roll into. So that's usually what it looks like. But it's more so about the techniques that the D-line are playing. And I think the big thing is Broderick plays more 2-gap, and he'll mix into 1 as well. Ali McNeil does both. He'll play upfield. He'll play through his blocks. He'll play 1.5. He does both, those kind of guys. Pascal does that. So, it just depends on who's with him. Like I said, when Broderick's with him, they can play a little more aggressive upfield. When he's not out there, maybe they'll play in a straight up against a guard, and they'll play a little bit more through another gap rather than just playing 1 gap specifically. So it just depends on who's on the field with who. Predict our first play from scrimmage. I would assume our first play is a play action, probably a boot, probably a rollout, something along those lines, especially if it's golf. Reason being is we've seen a lot of that. A lot of movement from the quarterback, a lot of the flats, checkdowns, those things. Probably something pretty simple. You remember last year, I think it was like a quick curl. I would expect it's probably something like getting golf on the move and trying to get a little flat or something. Probably pretty basic. We've had a lot of underneath things. So speaking of that, we talked about the run game, got going today. How's the OL depth looking? Let me kind of go through some of these notes, and I'll get your sense on that. I think the big thing is Jermaine Ifedi has improved. He seems to be much more solid at tackle. I think Bina Eze's taken steps too. I mean, both those guys are flipping at tackle, playing both spots. I think guard is a little bit hit and miss at this point in time. Colby Soar still gets in there at right guard, but that's really where I've seen him play at all. And Paulo's had some up and down. You've seen guys like Swoboda have up and down. There's been up and down from the second, third. But for the most part, I think there's been individual improvement at the tackle position, and I think Ifedi has slowly kind of worked his way up, and I think there's a legitimate shot that he could be our backup tackle this year. Don't count out Nelson, but I think he's got a legitimate shot to be that. How long till Madden boosts our ratings? Hopefully soon, because you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, I don't have the game, you know what I'm saying, when it comes out, though. Hey, how's it possible we start Kirby? How possible is it? Very possible. Brett, very possible. Now, I wouldn't count on it because I do believe with T-Walk's contract, they probably won't. But if you said, what do they do in practice? That's what they do. When they go to scrimmage the last 2 days, that's what they've done. They said, Branch, you're starting, and CJ are starting. I would assume for preseason, they'll start T-Walk, and they'll probably put CJ in the slot. But I would not be shocked at all because that's what they've done. Campbell over Barnes. Yes, Campbell has played over Barnes. Is technically the starter and has been playing good. So I don't know. No, Campbell has been playing over Barnes. Barnes is a second-team player right now. I have not seen Campbell play above. Now, I could have missed something today, but Barnes has not been above Campbell from what I've seen. He's been a second-team guy. He's been out there. We've seen him with Malcolm a little bit. Then you go to kind of like the JRMs and the Anthony Pittmans, but he's been a second-team guy. Plus, I think it also plays to Alex's strengths, and I think it's helped Alex a lot as well. How does Romeo Okwara look? Nothing flashy from what I've seen. Again, it's going to be hard for me to update greatly on defense because of my viewpoint, my vantage point, if they would, some people say, fancy things like that. But I'll say he hasn't really flashed to this point. I mean, but the good thing is he looks much healthier than what he's looked like, I thought at the end of last year. He's moving much better, much more physical into contact. I think there's a lot more speed to power when you see him move around. Keep the best, cut the rest. There you go. Play action deep shot. Well, that may be very possible as well. I think they'll kind of settle into it, but hey, I mean, all right, I ain't down with it. My man, Last Second Sports in the building. What's up, man? Appreciate you. So we look at some of these notes here. Let's talk about the run a little bit. First team gets on the field against first team defense. Starts off with Montgomery, big run on the play, or not a big run, a medium run on the play, a little outside zone. Then they come back to James Mitchell, and then it was a play action crosser to Josh Reynolds. A little bit pressure came from the right side. Big V was over there. They had Graham Glasgow on that side on that play, but that one was incomplete. A little bit in front of Josh Reynolds. Josh Reynolds, you'll see it more so with Marvin. Sometimes the play action shots, he doesn't always consistently separate. He doesn't run away from guys. So, and I think that's something that we even noted when watching him. Like, he doesn't run away from guys consistently. So it's something to keep an eye on in terms of how they like to utilize him. But he is the contested catch king. When you throw it to him in traffic, we don't have anyone better, I think, on the team. Outside of maybe, I mean, Dylan Drummond isn't better, but Dylan catches all his passes pretty much contested. So, you know, fantasies like that. Hey, look, man, that's that. I don't even know if I used that word right, but I used it because it felt good. All right, so now we moved on to and then the drill ended with an inside zone to Jahmyr Gibbs. So he's still been getting some inside run looks. And then a sack, which they were kind of in a two-man look. I'm pretty sure Khalif was open deep, but it kind of collapsed on him. So not a great start. Moving on to the second unit, however, Nate Sudfeld got on the field. And his first play was great, Marvin Jones Jr. So here's the big thing is like timing. We know that in terms of this offense, the play action, quick shots, those type of things. The big thing here to me is you could tell which guys they really trust and what situations they trust them in. So, for example, there is no fear throwing to seemingly Marvin when he's contested. Between Goff and Sudfeld, those guys are covered. They still throw the ball his direction. They don't need to see it. They still throw it his way. Same thing with St. Brown. But Marvin has kind of fallen into that category, and that's how they started off. They went with like a quick play action shot play, or not a shot play, but a quick play action, one of their like 3-step play action, so it's really quick to it. And he didn't even see Marvin coming out of the break, I don't believe. He put it up there for Marvin, and Marvin came up with a contested grab, great anticipation. Then he did a little outside zone run, followed by a throwaway that was pulled down, and that was because they tried to hit a quick little hitch. The cornerback jumped on it, so he kind of just threw it at the ground. How about Mohamed Ibrahim? I know I posted some things about him on Twitter. Mohamed Ibrahim popped today. This was his best day for me, really because they had to lean on him with some of the running backs that are no longer there in terms of injuries. But also on top of that, when he is in his element, he's tough. When he gets outside of his element, you're like, ooh, who's that? So, for example, the outside stuff, it can hit when it's wide open. It's not his game. There's not a lot of make you miss when he gets it and screens. Like, for example, they threw him one at receiver. They threw him a screen. There just wasn't a lot there. Although, when he started to roll, they got to about the 10-yard line. They said inside zone, punch, and he set the tone. He literally ran over a dude. And it's like, hey, it's training camp, we're hitting those kind of things, but it wasn't like that until that happened. He literally rocked the linebacker, and all of a sudden it was real. It's like, okay, no, we're actually playing now. He ran over the linebacker, and I think they technically called him down to just keep going, but he scored. Like, he ran the dude over. We'll get to that. Awesome play, though. It got everybody fired up because he just trucked the dude. And he's a big guy, right? He's 222. He's a big back. And that's kind of what a heavy zone runner, heavy production, kind of just a bell cow is what he was at Minnesota with injuries. How much Honolulu Blue Kool-Aid do you drink today? Definitely a lot. And I have more to go. You know what I'm saying? So it ain't done yet, Kevin. You know what I'm saying? It ain't done yet. Is that who asked me? Is Kevin the one that asked me? Okay. Who is the heavy running back we just signed today? So that is Ozigbo, which is, I believe, probably a similar signing because of the injury of Craig Reynolds. I don't know how serious it is. Maybe it speaks to it a little bit. He played a Taz today. I noted one play where he got the ball, but for him, he's probably just going to be working up to speed to get in there. We released Avery Davis, the receiver. Now, Avery Davis did not play that well yesterday, so it's very understandable to me that they would release Avery Davis. And I'm wishing him the best of luck, but you saw it in individual drills. They didn't really have any team success in the individual drills. It was kind of a struggle. So they go sign Ozigbo, big running back, similar build to a Craig Reynolds. You see his pass protection. He's got ability there, and he also has pretty nice hands for being a big back. But he's kind of a one-speed, downhill type of tough runner, so they went that route. He's a Nebraska Cornhusker. I mean, what else do you expect from that kind of running back? That's exactly what that is. I didn't note him a lot in team drills today, and that's pretty much all it was, but that's who they added today, and I'm assuming that's because of Craig Reynolds' injury. And if Jefferson is serious, it could be more of that. You continue on. Jefferson had a nice zone counter run. Here's the thing that I like. So you start to see, again, more versatility within the offense. And I think that helped them pop today. A lot more movement, a lot of much more open holes. The zone counter is what they mixed in on this play. And we've seen some of the misdirection runs that they would bring out last year. And that was like a medium run game as well. It was a really nice cut. This was Jamar Jefferson. You could see him just kind of slicing through the defense. What stood out to me so much was two things. Number one, obviously more versatility within the scheme. Number two, though, was I would say almost more decisiveness. Now that could be just a product of the offensive line getting better movement. But I thought decisiveness sense of you got a lot of one-cut runs. You didn't have as many bounce, hesitate, sit there, I'm brought down behind the line. You had a lot more, I see the whole bop, and then I'm getting upfield. There was a lot more decisiveness. Ibrahim did it because that's his play style, so it worked. But Jamar Jefferson was doing that. David Montgomery was, it was very quick. One cut, get upfield. And, that's what I was touching on yesterday. There was a lot of, should I go? And then he would brought down behind the line. Much less of that today. Really nice holes, but it was much less of that today, and I thought that was the difference. Shout out to everybody that's in the chat right now. I appreciate it. Why did we sign another running back? Timothy, hopefully that answered the question that I just touched on there. I appreciate it, Kevin B. Does feeling the wind beneath freaking wings from the chat. Oh, okay, I don't know. Who's going to be running back 3? Well, we haven't seen Justin Jackson recently. I I would say Justin Jackson, if healthy, is probably running back 3. The question is going to be, do they keep 4 and Kabinda? Kabinda's played first team, second team. If they keep Kabinda, or do they lean James Mitchell and not keep Kabinda? I think they'll keep Kabinda. I think they like the flexibility. If they keep 4, who's got the leg up? Originally, I would have said Craig, but because he's been out, now it's leaning Mohamed Ibrahim. But we'll learn a lot from preseason, because if you remember last year, it was more so about what did the backs do in preseason than what did they do in training camp. The dog's actually sleeping right now, so I'm going to let her do her thing. But I see you in the chat. Okay, so speaking of that, this is where Mohamed Ibrahim had a nice little gain as well. Now, this was behind KO'd. So they had KO'd at left guard. He pulled on the play. We touched on it yesterday. We had a lot more success, I felt, last year when those guys were leading the way, kind of the step-ins, the guys that were stepping in. He led the way, picked up a medium game for Mohamed Ibrahim. He can be a power runner or a gap runner because he's able to follow blocks just by the way that he likes to play. And then was the unfortunate play. This was shut down behind the line. They did a right zone lead, so he had a fullback in front of him. It was Jermar Jefferson. And what was so unfortunate, he finished with such a good run yesterday, is off the backside, it was basically blown up. So he had blocks in front of him. He didn't hit a hole immediately. I think it was kind of just foggy. There wasn't a ton of space originally. But on the backside, what that led to is there were multiple guys on his hip, and they just ran him down. They ran him down, and he came up limping. It was a tackle for loss. That's something that I'm concerned about a little bit. I hated to see that for him. He did walk off under his own power, but it is something to keep an eye on. You know, it's really bounce, bop. That's exactly what it is, Chris. You know what I'm saying? Like, look, I appreciate that, man. Shout out to you because I know you watched the video, my guy. But, that was so unfortunate to see that. And what that basically did is it led us to Adrian Martinez. I'm sorry. I got a lot of notes, so I'm just trying to fly through them and not forget things. So I apologize if I'm reading too fast. Again, I'm trying to read comments at the same time, so I'm trying to hit on both here. I don't want to make the stream too long, so stick with me. My bad, but stick with me here. So we move on to Adrian Martinez. He got on after this kind of injury. He threw a 10-yard pass, and this was, again, very good timing. He threw an out route to Brock Wright. Really good anticipation. He's made some really nice throws. Really nice throws from Adrian Martinez. This thing was on point. One of the better throws, honestly, of the early drills here, or the early, 11 on 11. One of the better throws, and that's how he got the thing started off. And, okay, I noted the offensive line thing. So then we went back to the first unit. I think there was only one play. They got back to the first unit. Here we go. Jared Goff back on the field. This is the play that I think we need to note on here. So here's what it was. So 2 safeties rolled down. And you saw on the play that they did that play action. They like to do their play action crosser, kind of like the over route and then like the deep post on the top side. And, well, actually, there was 2 of these. This one was not that one, but they did the play action on the play. This one was, he was trying to get the shot over top. It was ultimately pass was broken up. He went to Khalif Raymond, who was breaking over the crossing route. Threw it a little bit late to him. Not to say that it was like, oh, the pass was off, because it was on the money and it was in a very tight window. The thing is that he didn't come up with it, got hit as he tried to catch it. And the big thing for me there is the guy who sitting next to me, my man, he may be watching right now. He jinxed it. He's like, I don't think I've seen this guy drop it. And there was the drop for Khalif Raymond in traffic. The good thing was it was a heck of a tight window. It was a heck of a tight window throw by Jared. The flip side is that maybe been a tad late, but we've seen a lot of those looks from the Lions offense. Then they had a little short run, not much there. They kind of went behind the left tackle. Again, this is first unit. Did Denzel Mims do anything? Well, Mims was back today, but Denzel Mims didn't do anything really for me in team drills. I think he missed a lot of it because he's recovering. He's just getting back. So for him, I think it's kind of working into it. And the issue was today was essentially all team drills. There was no one-on-ones. There was no cornerback receiver. And because of that, I didn't really see him today. So, we'll see him more on Friday, I hope. I think the fact that he was just out there going through warm-ups, that kind of thing, means that they can play him on Friday. He needs to play. He absolutely needs to play. Hey, I see you all in the chat, John. I see you. Hey, look, man. We've had a lot of practice talking really fast over here. It's just kind of natural now, so that's just what we do. Okay, let's continue, though. Staying with the first team offense. I see you in there, Chris. Staying with the first team offense, we've seen a lot of Sam Laporta mixing in. And this is where to start. So they went to a cover 1 look defensively. I was really trying to notice what coverages they were in to try to get a tell on okay, could you see what they wanted to do based on coverage? Peanut, I believe I was told that cuts all happen at the end. Like there isn't a 10-10-10 period. I could be wrong. Can anybody clarify that? I was told that it's not going to happen all that. It's going to happen kind of all at one time. So if that's the case, you'll have big rosters through preseason. I don't know. If anybody can confirm, feel free to let me know. But, okay, we went to Sam Laporta, It was a cover one look. Now this ball got on him fast. This was not necessarily on time necessarily. We've seen a lot of the ball skills early of Sam Laporta, the flexibility, the contorting of the body. This one was not that, but the ball got on him so darn fast. It was incomplete, but they gave him a cover one look. The big thing that stood out to me here was that in the cover one look, when they identified it was man, they felt like from tight splits, we can get Laporta one-on-one and we're going to go at that. And he separated. It was just the timing was off. It was like behind him, I think. It was like really on him in a hurry. It would have had to be a ridiculous catch. It was like he broke and the ball was on him like immediately. Like the timing was just a little bit early on the pass, but the trust to go to him is the biggest thing. The timing I think will pick up. The trust is the biggest thing there. They really need to, hey, I know everything. Hey, we'll be back though. I think he'll be back. Shout out to Everything King, man. He was great having him on the show. We're definitely going to get him on the show again. All right, guys, here we go. Let's talk about a big play. Jahmyr Gibbs. You guys are waiting for it. New rule. Okay, yeah, it is 90-53. Good look. I think, yeah, so that's different. So I guess it's going to be like that. We're not going to talk, cuts as we go. But, or I guess we might. I mean, every team can do what they want to do. But Jahmyr Gibbs, big run. So here is Jahmyr Gibbs' first big run. The thing that was so interesting about this play to me is that we did a quarterback zone read. So we've seen this with Goff at like the goal line, but he's reading the backside edge, right? The fact that an edge rusher would pause because Jared Goff is doing his own read almost kind of is like, okay, maybe it's practice, but if I'm like playing the Lions and game playing, if I'm the edge, I'm never seriously taking that in consideration that Jared Goff might pull this down to take off. Unless it's at the one, there's no way I'm looking at it like, hold up, let me hesitate here because he might, like, no shot. But it worked. It did enough. I mean, if it does just enough, you did your job there, I guess. And that was the first really big run that they had. It was Jahmyr Gibbs on an outside zone, got about 20 yards just like that. He's so fast. And that's the issue is he's so fast. He hits the offensive tackle. He gets the edge in a hurry, and guys just can't keep up with him to the edge. If he's untouched and he doesn't force the bounce, he's so fast to the edge, man. Why am I hiding from you at training camp? I'm not hiding. I'd like to get to the top so I can see everything. So I'm always at the top. You know what I'm saying? So if you're there and you're like, hey, where am I at? Top of the bleachers is where I'm going to be. So just look for me there. All right, so that was the big play. Then they came back with a little screen. This one was pretty bad, and this was actually the first fumble I had, David Montgomery. So they ran a screen to Montgomery, and it was like a cover 3 look, so they tried to do a screen. He was actually hit behind the line by a defense tackle. He stayed on his feet, though. It could have been a sack, honestly, too, but, guys were coming through. It's kind of hard to tell. But the issue was that he fumbled, and I think it was punched out from behind. It would have been fine if it was the first one, but there was like 4 team fumbles on the day. That was the concern. What I liked was right after practice, they bring the card over, and they sit down the pads that they kind of run through like this, and he's going through by himself. I don't remember who was helping him. I think it was Muhammad Ibrahim. It was Ibrahim. He was the guy that was kind of helping him go through it, but he was going through it, running through it, protecting the football after today. And I love that because it's almost like he took it on himself, and he should. Like, hey, that was not it. And I'm not concerned about it, but it was like, that was not it. Then it happened again. I'm going to go address that. So he probably did 10 reps. Like, I'm going through this again because I fumbled twice today. And, that's not okay. They're going to, trust me, your role. Hey, I love you some Dave Montgomery. He showed so much flexibility in the pass game. He's shown so much in terms, like he had a great catch again today. He's shown so much versatility there. But can't be dropping the football. We saw that last season. And again, I'm not concerned about it. Moved on to the second unit. Nate Sudfeld's out there. Started with a little bit of a toss. And this was where I don't think Muhammad Ibrahim's at his best. It was closed so quickly on him. It could have been a missed block. But for him trying to get, out there, to the D gap of the offense or the defense, it's just not his game. He was closed on so quickly. I think it was actually a tackle for loss. I think I had a tackle for loss, yeah, on the play. It was, very short gain on the play. Then they went for a deep shot that was incomplete. Here's the one to J-Mo. So if you haven't heard, they tried to get a shot to J-Mo. J-Mo did get a step. Now, yes, it was underthrown. We've heard that a lot. You kind of hate hearing it. I get it. And shout out to everybody in the chat. Appreciate all of you guys in here. I get it. Everybody hates hearing it. Oh, my goodness. Hey, J-Mo, we underthrew it again. Although I'm going to kind of say I think some of this had to do with the simple fact that it was kind of a sack on the play because the ball didn't come out on time. Nate Sudfeld got to the back of his drop, wanted to take the shot. Pressure was there, so he kind of stepped up, but it would have been a sack unless he broke it. So he threw it, but it was like so late on the play. It kind of just threw off the entirety of the timing. The big thing here to me was they were in a 2-deep look, and the offense rolled down their safeties. And this is the only guy that they would do this with that I noticed today. When they roll down the safeties, to the 8-yard line, other guys they'd have out there, they'd have like, I don't know, any other receiver you can think of on the outside or the slot. But when J-Mo was out there, it was quick. Safeties rolled down, and I literally said this one because it just makes sense. You see both safeties 8 yards off the line, you got to go deep with J-Mo. He had outside leverage because of how tight his alignment was, and that's been the big thing, the tight splits. It's been hard to press him because if you put a tight end and you put him next to a tight end, it's hard for them to press up without getting rubbed. So they kind of sit outside leverage, which can bracket him. But if you're playing like that, he's going to go by you, and that's what he did. Went by him on the post. It was underthrown, but again, I think there was a sack, so that was really the main issue. You said Dalton Reisner. Wanted to be his buddy on the line, sign him. Hey, yeah, I mean, dude, I'm always open to adding offense line competition. Again, I don't want to make it sound like everybody's been bad. There's been some guys I think have played well. I think Fetty's really stepping up, but there was a little bit of pressure there, and that was from the right side of the offensive line on that play as well. I think it really threw off the timing. Then we had a little flat to Maurice Alexander. I noted this because once the ball hit his hands, dude, it was more than just catching. We know he's fast, and you see it in and out just going through breaks. It's his ability to make things happen with the ball in his hands. He plays at a really good speed. This was probably a 2-yard completion that turned into about 8 by just the speed that he got upfield with. I mean, it was fast. Why is Bridgewater not out there yet? Yeah, I mean, I heard like next week sometime, so I don't know why. I have no idea why, but that's what I've heard. So that's really all I can tell you with that one. Then we had a short little run there from Ozigbo, so he did mix in a little bit, as I touched on. And then they threw a screen to Mohamed Ibrahim. Like I said, there's not a lot of make you miss. He was lined at wide receiver, so they lined him out wide. We do this a lot. We put our backs out wide. I don't expect to see a ton of this with Ibrahim, but we do that. And they threw a wide receiver screen, kind of like I wouldn't say a tunnel, but kind of like a bubble to him. And, well, it was actually... forget that. It doesn't matter. He threw a screen. Didn't have much make you miss. Not much gain on the play. But we've seen a lot of that. It's obviously more effective, I think, when you put Gibbs out there. We've seen a lot of Gibbs lining in the slot. He's almost kind of being treated like a receiver. And I think the most fun thing about that is you're seeing him and David on the field at the same time. That's been the most fun thing. It was hot out there today. Oh, it was hot. It was hot. Patty, you were there? Patty, come on, man. Hey, you got to look for me. You got to look for me, Patty. It's excited to get Bridgewater out here. I'm very excited to see that as well. Yeah, I'm excited to see that. And again, I don't want to make it sound like, Sudfeld's been trash. Like, nah, he hasn't been. He hasn't been. That's unfair. Yeah, he had, a couple of rough ones. Like, he had the 2 interceptions against our first team defense. He had a couple fumbles last practice. Could have been a little bit more in the center too. But, outside of that, it's not like he's been necessarily bad. It's just, he hasn't lit it up either. But I definitely want to see Teddy, and I think he'll end up being the backup. And then we go on to third unit, very short. Here's a guy again that I said he's been popping. He's slowly working his way up to me. He's on the third team. They threw a boot, a little flat to Daniel Helm. His pass catching, his ability to make himself open, those have been the 2 things that I think that they've liked. Caught it for a nice little medium gain to start things off. And then they threw a screen to Maurice Alexander. This was another fumble that I noted on the play. And here's the thing. There was good and bad here. Good recognition. They came out, had the numbers. He threw the screen. Maurice Alexander fumbled, number 1. And number 2 on the play, James Mitchell, I believe, was called for holding. So there was 2 things that were bad. Good recognition. It was like they should throw a screen here. They did. Great. But the fumble and then the hold, those are 2 things that aren't necessarily great. We'll continue, though. Let's continue. We'll keep rolling through this. Again, if you guys want me to, elaborate on something, let me know. Pimpleton is on the other team. He was showing some love to some former Lions yesterday. He was kind of talking to those guys. It was cool to see him back out there. Room for him as well, for sure. He was good for us. He was a good dude when he was going through camp and things like that. Back to the first team, we saw Brock Wright get out there, Penei Sewell, and they launched a big run. So another big run here, and this was an outside zone here to David Montgomery. Big play behind Brock Wright and Penei Sewell. What was cool about this, they ran right off of Penei Sewell. Brock Wright, I mean, they basically just made an alley like this. Like, Penei Sewell cleared his guy up. He almost I think he almost he cleared his guy up, took a really good block, got the leverage. But then Brock Wright almost freed up the lane by turning his guy back outside. Brock has shown really good ability to block. Brock can block, okay? That's one thing that's for sure. And that's why they like him. In line, he could block. He was in line, freed up a big outside zone right off of Penei Sewell, launched a big run for David Montgomery. It was really cool to see the run game get going. Then we had another one. Montgomery, they went right back to him with a lead play. So following behind Jason Cabinda, they motioned into an I-form look. So Cabinda started, I believe, in a slot, rolled into an I-formation look, so right in front of him. He led the way, and Montgomery had a huge lane, another big run. I was like, man, this is completely different from yesterday. Wish you could put this on half speed. You definitely can. I think once it's done, I think you can do it now. What are you talking about? I can see you can do it now. Come on, man. Michael, look, come on, man. I can do it at least. So, Dylan Drummond, the dark horse. Honestly, he's probably not even a dark horse at this point. I'm going to talk about him more in a second here. Dylan Drummond is consistent. You know what he is? He runs routes well. He's a super reliable catcher, and he's a blocker. He had the best block today on a screen. He is just fitting in. And we're going to go through the unofficial depth chart right after we finish this, but I'm going to talk through it. I think if you said right now, if you saw nothing else, Dylan Drummond is making the team. If I saw nothing else, he'd be on the team. So I'd have to do it. I mean, that's kind of how I feel about him right now. And actually, oh God, it just doesn't work out better than this. Very next play I have wrote down. Threw a bubble screen to, who was this? Oh, it was St. Brown. St. Brown did a good job working outside, picked up probably 5+ yards. But who was it? It was Dylan Drummond. It was Dylan Drummond laying the block on the cornerback. It was him creating like leverage, so he kind of rolled him back inside, and St. Brown was able to bounce off him and get out of bounds. But it was Dylan Drummond who had a superb block. And I was like, man, this guy's doing it all for us. Like, it was really cool to see that because it's not flash, it's consistency. That's what it's been for him. Always has great. Hey, hey man, look, Stenberg doesn't seem very promising, but maybe he lights up the preseason. But right now, it doesn't seem promising. Moved back. Actually, should we go to that right now? Is that the next? Hold up, 1 second, chat. I want to make sure I'm not missing something here because I think we have a little bit more. Okay, we have a little bit more, and then we go to the kind of the 20-minute drill. See, there's a lot less notes today, so I'll start to slow down. All right, I got y'all. I apologize. I'm sorry. I got everything's fresh in my mind. Here we go. So got back to the first team offense, right? So Jared Goff's out there. They start with a toss to David Montgomery. Picks up a nice little medium gain. Then they go back to the run. Short run to the left. Then it was Amon-Ra St. Brown with the completion. He ran a speed out. We know that he just separates there. He had a completion. Then they popped another run. Behind KO'd. I'm making sure I don't have the wrong notes here. Okay, I think we're good. I think these are the right notes. Oh, wait, no. Time out. See, that's why I had to double check. I'm like, wait a second. These are not the right notes. Are we really on to the 20-minute drill already? Chat, we might be. Oh, no. Okay, I got it. I'm sorry. I apologize. That's my bad. I got all the notes together. We're good. Let's reset. That was yesterday. I was reading now. I was like, dog, this was yesterday. That's why I was like, I don't know what's going on. All right. What about the kick returner and gunner action? Kick returner, who do they have listed there? I think they have Justin Jackson listed there. I would anticipate if he makes the roster, he'll be the guy, so I think he'll probably make it. Khalif is the punt returner. Today, Dylan Drummond, after practice, got with him, worked on it, as well as Maurice Alexander, but the starter is Khalif Raymond, I believe. I appreciate you, James. Just found out how to do it. 75 was so slow. Maybe, hey, you could do I couldn't even do 75. Drummond is the young Marvin Jones. Ooh, okay. I don't know if I've seen as much. I would say I haven't seen as much like, what would it say? Flexibility in his game. Like, he doesn't have as much dynamic to him, and he's definitely a little bit smaller. But in terms of just coming up with the football when contested, I can see what you're saying there. All right, I can absolutely see what you're saying there. Okay, let's continue though. My bad. Here it's I literally wrote continue. Now I did have a couple defensive notes that I just noted from looking up. Kirby Joseph had a run stop, and then if he forced a throwaway. That's all I got. All right, we'll go back to offense here. Continuing first team. Amon-Ra St. Brown fumble on the play. Now, this was like an out route, but this is what I'm saying that I like. It seems very simple for the offense in terms of they read it, they decided to throw a screen. But it wasn't your, normal screen. It was an out route where we've seen this on like third down, where the guys upfield will just go block. And we saw that. So he was lined in slot. I think they had two receivers, they had trips left, and they ended up lead blocking for him. Caught the out, and he fumbled. And Amon-Ra does not do that. It was just weird. It was a weird day today. Maybe the ball was slippery. I don't know. Maybe the other team was fumbling too. But Amon-Ra St. Brown had a fumble there. And I think that was actually one that James Mitchell had the hold on. Then we moved on to the second team offense, and this was, again, led by Nate Sudfeld. And this one was a good read. Okay, I really liked this. So they came out. They had a single high safety look, and immediately they said, let's do crossers. This is what I'm talking about. Like, the fact that the offense, for the backup quarterback to say, okay, we have this is the right play to beat it, is great. Single high, they go with crossers, and what they do is the outside receiver on the right side, which I think it was Jamison. He ran like a deep post, took the safety with him because he's so fast, and then underneath they ran a crossing route to Marvin Jones. Now it ended up actually falling incomplete. It was contested really well. The big thing to me there is that he didn't run away from he wasn't separating from the defender or the cornerback on that play. But the positive is that the read was really nice in terms of let's go to this play, this will beat this coverage, and it worked. Sounds like Drummond will make the team over Mims. I would say if I said right now, I'd say yes, but I'm not counting out Mims because I think they like Mims and I think he's done well to this point. Like, I don't think Mims has not given himself a shot. It's just more so he needs to play, and that's why preseason is going to be huge because the last 2 days we haven't really seen anything. Anyone see lines on Family Feud? I did not. Who was on Family Feud? Wasn't Pimpleton signed by the Giants? Yeah, and they also have Amani Oruwariye, so they have both those dudes over there. Okay, I don't know what that is. How has Goff looked? I think Goff's looks pretty good. Goff's looked very efficient. That's been the biggest thing. Very efficient the last 2 days. Hey, Dan, I'm still just making a little lunch. Don't want to miss anything. I'm excited about these guys for Friday. Everybody should be. Everybody should be, man. So we move on then. Continuing with the second unit, we had Jahmyr Gibbs with a short little run. It was a really nice move. Again, one cut. Kept it very simple, not overly bouncing. One cut, got upfield, short little run there for Jahmyr Gibbs. Then it was a Dylan Drummond with a wide open kind of underneath pass. He created, they created a lot of space there. I think it was a zone look, though, so he just kind of fell into his zone. And then they ran a crosser to Trey Quinn that fell incomplete. A little bit of pressure on the play, and the ball was a little bit in front of Trey Quinn. Now, Trey Quinn had a very tough opportunity today that was incomplete, and I think that's where Quinn's been so good as well, as he's been reliable, but he had a drop, but it was also kind of contested today, and we'll get to that. But that's how the second unit finished, and then we go to the third unit, and they have a couple notes here. Little zone to the left. This was a tackle for loss. I noted Ryan Swoboda, who I believe was lined up at guard, and I think he had a blown block on the backside. And maybe it was because they couldn't hit the hole fast enough, but it was very quick that his defender was in the backfield. He shut down the run, and then they ran a little underneath route there to Trey Quinn, and this is the one. So it was contested. The ball was also high. It was kind of just like a 2 or 3 yard, like just basically cut underneath and catch it. But it was high, so he had to kind of go and leap up for it. So that already made it tough. He's tough. Like we've seen, he's tough in traffic, but he took a big hit, and he ended up not coming up with the reception. And we know little things like that can be the difference. There was also a little bit of pressure kind of collapsing from the tackle position, so Martinez was forced to step up and kind of try to dump it off. That's why the ball got high on him, and he didn't come up with it. Back to the first team. All right, we got some star notes here, chat. So lock in, because I got some star notes here. Trey Quinn got in-house. He's doing, truly, I heard the Broncos really didn't, wait. Trey Quinn got in. How's he really doing? I heard the Broncos really didn't make the team. No, I think Trey Quinn has been, he's been a guy that's really lived up to exactly what you would have expected for him. I don't think there's been, a ton like, oh, wow, I didn't expect that. Or a ton of the other side. He's not the best separator, but he's very disciplined with his route running. He creates space. He's a tough receiver, and he does the dirty work. And on special teams, he shows up a little bit too. So I think he's been kind of what you would expect based on what he's done in the past. Move back to the first team offense. Starts off with a Jahmyr Gibbs screen. Favorite thing about this, he was lined at receiver. They had him in the slot, and they threw it to him. Guess who was in the backfield? I believe on this play, and maybe it was others, but he was definitely in the backfield out of the gun. Dave Montgomery would go next to Jared Goff, and they put Gibbs in the slot. That's huge because it's different. In the past, DeAndre Swift could pass catch, and we'd use him out of the backfield to pass catch. The difference now is that they put both on the field. They essentially use, not all the time, certain packages, they use him like a receiver. Sometimes they don't have him out there, but he gets used like a receiver, so it really expands his role, and we saw that today. He finished off the drill incredibly well. Speaking of Jahmyr Gibbs, comes back, and now that screen, it was a tackle for loss. I thought St. Brown lost his block on the play, but it was just cool to see him do that. They come back to Gibbs. 5 yard, kind of a body catch, but contested. Good catch, kind of on his right shoulder. But what he really showed is that he didn't need to do that, which is the big thing. And then they came back to a swing pass. Now, this is Jared Goff. Someone asked, how's Jared Goff doing? Efficient. Goff stood in, kind of backpedaled a little bit. Not backpedal, but kind of worked back into the pocket. But he stood in with pressure in his face, and we could see it open up. From his point of view, I have no idea how he could see this is opening up. I know he's tall, but the pocket was like this. I'm like, there was no way I would have had no idea who's open. There was no way I would have thrown the swing pass. I would have took the sack or scramble because I don't know if there's a defender standing there. He knew it. He looked downfield, continued to look downfield. Zone backed up. The swing route opened, and he stood in there last second before just beautiful pass, too. Put it in front, didn't make him go back for it. Put it in front of David, picked up like 5 yards on the play. That was one of the plays that I really noted that I really liked there. It was a nice little swing pass. Then they came back with a zone run to the left side of the field. Dave Montgomery's second fumble. Second fumble, man. I told y'all. I mean, look, he had 2 of them on the day. Again, I'm not concerned about it, but it happened. And, guys, come on, man. Let's talk about a touchdown here. I mean, let's get something exciting. Sam Laporta scores a touchdown. So they use Sam Laporta on, like, a little chip flat, so he just works through the flat. We've seen a lot of that back at Iowa. We've seen a lot of the level 1 work, level 2 work, a lot of drags, a lot of crossers, a lot of flats. Not a lot of cuts as much. Well, I should take that back. We see cuts when he's lined at slot. But he's also been utilized on a lot of those. So when we go, for example, under center, or we boot, or we go roll out, you'll see a lot of drags, chips, those kind of things. And he's very capable with the ball in his hands. Got a ton of juice immediately. We saw it on the tight end screen last week. And then the flip side is when he's lined the slot and out wide, you'll see the in cuts, the out cuts. You'll see the wheels. He scores a touchdown, chip flat, just the speed. Purely just catches the ball, outruns everybody, gets to the pylon, scores a touchdown. On top of that, they had Khalif Raymond on the same side, which I loved, who ran a whip route, didn't ever open up, but it was underneath. It was Sam Laporta's speed. Sam the Kangaroo. Like, he was zooming, man, and he just ran that thing in the end zone to get us going a little bit. And the big thing about this was it wasn't just that he ran in. It was excellent ball skills. Like, it was fast because you're running, he's chipping and then he's immediately getting to the flat. So when you chip, the timing can be a little different because you're not watching the route develop. You're seeing him block. You're rolling that way, waiting for Khalif. And then all of a sudden, he breaks out and the ball's immediately on him. So the timing can be a little off. So it was on quick, and you just saw the ball skills. Very impressed by this because I know I had some knocks on. Man, I think the ball gets on him a little bit. Very impressive. Like, you saw him contort his body, snag that thing, tuck, run, and it was just all one fluid motion. It allowed him to score a touchdown. Super athletic play. And finally, we get into the end zone. And then we had another touchdown from the other rookie, Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs. He is coming into his own. Today was, I think, the breakout party as a receiver, if you want to say that. Here's what they did. So, Jahmyr Gibbs lined out wide. And if you guys watched if you remember last year's Super Bowl, what they did a lot, they did those return motions where they gave it to, they did it to the Eagles a lot. Because I had to watch C.J. Gardner-Johnson. They did this a lot to him. They put the guy out wide. He's manned up. They got him manned up. So, they run a return motion. So, basically, they motion him inside. And instead of having him, it's not really a return motion because instead of actually motioning back out, he never motions back out. So he motions inside from a wide alignment. He gets about to the tight end. They snap it. Immediately, he darts back inside. Here's why that leads to problems. A lot of times within a couple yards, teams switch things. So there's communication. And like we saw with Philadelphia, they would communicate. Someone would be like, oh, I got this. Okay, I run over there. And then they'd snap it. And now one guy's in no man's land and nobody's covering the back. They stuck with it. But that kind of motion and then get back, we saw our defense handle this actually really well. I thought when we were playing is a lot of the communication stuff, but it was his speed, it was great play design, and Gibbs ran off, took off to the pylon, scored a touchdown. Chase Lucas. We're going to talk about Chase Lucas here when we look at the unofficial depth chart. I think Chase Lucas has been impressive. He was one of my risers in terms of stock. I think his biggest thing will be look for where they align him at Friday. Are they playing him slot or are they allowing him to take snaps outside? And if he is taking snaps outside, how does he perform? Is he getting burned over top? He has been really good, I think, from what I've seen. Again, the last 2 days for defense have been tough. It's been more offense for me, so I'll know more Friday. But from what I've seen, everything I've taken away from defense, he's been a riser, specifically recently. Blitzing, toughness, special teams work, interceptions were thrown in there, so you see the ball skills. He's just a very high FBI player that gets on things very fast. You see it's very quick to get on things. He's kind of like a Malcolm Rodriguez in the secondary, if that's a fair, kind of a idea to think of, right? Not the most athletic in terms of Malcolm. He's not the biggest, not the most athletic for Chase, but he's very quick to things. He plays a lot faster than his speed. Do you think, look at Laporta taking over the middle route than St. Brown deep? I think occasionally, so for what you're saying, Laporta's middle routes, I think a lot are going to be the crossers. We've seen those already. St. Brown will get some looks, I think. I don't know how many looks he's going to get deep because for me, he's not going to line out wide unless he's in like a heavy personnel like 12 and there's only 2 receivers and they try to put him out there. He'll be, I think, a guy that consistently still kind of dominates middle of the field. He'll dominate everywhere. They love him on the out routes. They love him middle of the field. They really love him on everything, to be honest with you. But I think the shot plays will probably come from like wheels, those kind of things. I don't see a lot of like deep post him getting shot. I don't see that happening. But I think some of the in-breaking routes will. I think that's kind of where you'll... Because I just haven't seen those kind of looks at all in the preseason. My man says, yay, my favorite Martian. All right, let's continue here. So I got some more notes. And then we're about to get to the scrimmage part. And this is cool. The scrimmage was awesome. So second team gets back on the field. And the very first play was a touchdown. And I talked about him. It was on Emmanuel Riwariye, I believe. And it was that man, Marvin Jones Jr. This was the most ridiculous catch I've probably seen in the training camp. It was kind of ridiculous. First off, the guy was not open at all. What's up? Are you live streaming the game or not? My man Vision Stealth. Yes, I will be live streaming the game, and then right after we'll be on Bleacher Report. So you can check me out on both those, post-game and during game. But yes, the plan is to stream that game. So I will see you guys on Friday for sure. Here's why this was, and I appreciate you, 49. I appreciate you, man. Here's why this, hey, Laporta's fast at the end. A little bit. He got me by a little bit. Here, I appreciate you, Charles. I appreciate you coming in here, man. Here's why this was so nasty. So Marvin Jones was running like a fade route. It was covered really well. He was on top of it. He was on top of him. There was no separation. A lot of times, you may get this like a high point, throw it to the back shoulder, put it on the pylon, let him try to go get it because the guy's on top of the route. This ball was thrown at his stomach, right? Because he's doing a lot of work with second team. It was put on his chest, and the cornerback was on top of the route. Somehow, some way, like his arm went like through it, and then he caught it. It was like, I have no idea how he caught this, but the concentration was ridiculous. It wasn't like your high point. It wasn't like an out front of him snag. It was like somehow, some way he caught this ball that was not open at all. He is contested catch king, and that's exactly how he started off the rep or the series. Then he went to Mohamed Ibrahim, and this is when Mohamed Ibrahim got going. He had a pretty big gain running right behind, running an outside zone to the right side, which we've gotten some movement there recently. And again, you know, second team unit, that's who do you get, like Jermaine Ifedi over there at right tackle, things like that. Shout out to that. I appreciate you, Vision. I think
What's
it's about
up?
to read to me.
Are you live streaming the game or going to it?
I appreciate you, man. Hey, we just been rolling through notes, man. We just been rolling through notes, but it'll be like a video, so feel free to roll it back. I think the first month is free. NFL Plus. I have NFL Plus, so yeah. I mean, that's who do you think winning the season opener? I do have us beating the Chiefs. Yeah. I mean, if you're gonna ask me right now, I have to take us. I mean, I'm feeling good right now. So here's where Mohamed Ibrahim got going. So he has a nice run. Then they go to James Mitchell, who ends up scoring what could have been about 5 yards or a touchdown. I think they acted like he was short, but he kind of scored. I mean, you could have said, if you would have told me on the play that, you know, he was tackled because the linebacker was in middle field and he kind of rolled over to help. He was isolated one-on-one on the outside. They ran a slant to him. He caught it. I thought he scored, or kind of like a drag. He caught it. I thought he scored a touchdown. They were like, maybe he only got 5 yards. But they went to that. Then they came back to an inside run, about 3 yards on the play. Big thing here was there was a really good push initially, and secondly, Jermaine Ifedi got into it. Man. It got heated a little bit. He was kind of battling there, and I love that. I love that for my old lineman. And here's where Mohamed Ibrahim broke the internet. Or, I don't know. I mean, something. Truck the dude. So, tempers are flaring. Ibrahim's, running pretty well. We're going inside runs. We're punching. We're about at the 10-yard line. Mohamed Ibrahim's in there, and we're having success running behind the right side of the offensive line. And the Lions go right back to it. So, they hand it off inside zone. I believe it was like right behind the right guard. And he trucks this line. I think it was a linebacker. Now, he was isolated. So the movement was good because there was a hole. It was like him on the linebacker. He wasn't being fancy at all. My man put his shoulder down, and it almost went from like, okay, it's practice. Oh, no, because like the James Mitchell one, for example. It was like, oh, he may have scored there, but it wasn't like a full-on tackle. It was like, he hit him, okay. Mohamed Ibrahim, like, yeah, we're not doing that. We're playing real football here. Dude ran him over. He put the shoulder down, pop, put the dude on his back. Scored a touchdown, and it was like, oh, okay, no, this just got real quick. Then he responded with another play like that here in a second. So he does that. We come back with an incomplete pass, and this one was thrown to James Mitchell. They try to hit him on a fade route. It was completely overthrown, but that's mainly because there was some pressure. I thought Darren Paolo, who was at left guard, gave up some pressure. Truck that man. Hey, Kevin, truck that man. It got people fired up. Then they went back to Martinez for 2 more plays. Again, he's only been getting like 2 plays. They go with like a weak zone play. Again, Mohamed Ibrahim. 1 cut, get upfield. That's how he plays. 1 cut, get upfield, and he's a heavy set back, right? He's powerful. And he's just running downhill. 1 cut, picks up like 7 yards on the first play. They go back to him with an inside zone, puts his like shoulder down to run someone over again. And this time you could see the defense was like, yeah, we're not playing that. My man, for sure, he got down there on his ankles and made sure that was going to happen. Now, it tackled him short. He probably picked up like 3 yards. So he's probably about 2 yards out from the end zone. But the guy was not going to get ran over again. And it may not have been the same guy. He may have just saw the other guy. He's like, okay, I don't want to do that. You do you. I'm doing me. I ain't doing that. So he learned, which is good. He learned not to mess with that. Ibrahim was feeling himself. He was getting going. He was downhill. The run plays were not outside. Their offensive line was getting some push, and he just trucked the guy. He's like, yeah, inside the 10, this is my home, and it looked like it. So that's how that ended. And here's where the final stretch, 20 minutes on the clock. There wasn't that many plays. 20 minutes on the clock. Scrimmage time. First team, second team, third team, all of those things. I seen they signed another running back. Craig is injured. Jamar was injured today, unfortunately. We'll have to see where those guys are at. But Craig hasn't, I don't think the last 2 days, maybe part of yesterday. Definitely did not see him today. I think I may have saw him off to the sideline, maybe, but he wasn't. If it was him, he was in street clothes. So, Dylan Drummond legit. Dylan is legit. He's not flashy, but like I said before, he's reliable hands. He's a good route runner, and those are really the 2 big things for me with him. And he's a pretty solid route runner too. Like he's pretty good with depth and finding holes and things like that. But he's not flashy. I don't expect a ton of run after catch, those things, but he's legit in his own right. So here we go. Here's how this went down. I'm excited. I'm about to stand up. Now we got some defensive notes here. because both sides played. So, we start off on defense. Not a great start. All right, so here's how it went down. Branch was at slot. CJ's at safety. Tracy I didn't see on the field. Very first play, we give up a touchdown. All right, not a great start. Now, this one was a breakdown. Derek Barnes, I think it was Derek Barnes and Kirby Joseph. I couldn't tell who the other guy was matched up. May not have been Kirby. I think it was, though. But Barnes was definitely involved. They ran a flat out to the running back and just a complete breakdown. It looked like they were man coverage, and there was almost like he kind of got like picked off. There was no like switch, and the dude just walked in. He was just a rollout, walked into the end zone, scored a touchdown from they were like 25 yards out. First play. It's like, oh, dang, that's an awful start. It happened so fast, I don't think some people even realized that it even happened. Then, because of that, our offense gets on the field. They responded, which was great. They started with a counter run. They go I formation. They go with a counter run to David Montgomery. He takes it down to the 1 yard line. He picks like 24 yards on the very first play. Takes it down to the 1 yard line. Again, gets up to the line, one cut, bounce, and he's gone. Upfield. Takes it to the 1. I thought he scored. Got the left pylon, took it to the 1. Lions next play, they put it at about the 10 yard line. They put it about the 10 yard line. They put him like 10 yards out for whatever reason. I didn't really understand this. But the Lions still said we're still going to punch it in. They put Amon-Ra St. probably because they didn't want to do a 1 yard play. They put Amon-Ra St. Brown on the outside. So it's people that are asking about that. And they did exactly what we've seen a lot of the season. They did the play fake. And I think this may have been like a misdirection play fake, but actually take that back. This was not a misdirection play fake. It was just a play action. And they had St. Brown isolated one-on-one. We've seen this a lot. And you knew exactly where the ball was going. I was sitting there watching St. Brown run the out, and I knew he was getting the ball because we've seen it so many times. One-on-one, that ball is going there because he's going to get open. He's going to work back to the ball, and Goff's going to trust it. And he has been so dialed in on that pass. Last year we saw it. This year's been even better, I would say. On the money, side of the end zone, touchdown, very next play from 10 yards out. Back on defense. Here's how this went down. First play. They run, first play, they have a short little like flat route that's thrown. Malcolm Rodriguez is all over it. Boom, shuts it down. Probably 2 yards on the play. Very quick to react. Jumps down, dives down, shuts it down. Very short gain. After that, though, again, not ideal. Very next play, touchdown. Okay, so yeah, this is not great, right? Very next play was the touchdown. They did a play action boot, and this was thrown out actually to Daniel Bellinger, the young tight end. So they threw it out to him, and to me, this was, again, a miscommunication here. Here's why this happened, I think. Couldn't tell completely. This is kind of my assumption. They did a misdirection play fake, so where the quarterback does one of these numbers. Fakes here, fakes here. Linebackers, I believe, bid upfield. Malcolm Rodriguez was the closest guy in coverage. May not have been his guy. I think it was, though. And when he did the double play fake, it was really drawn out. So it was second team offense, so the second quarterback was out there. I don't even know who that is. Is it Webb? I don't know who that is. But because of that, linebackers bit, he boots out, and all of a sudden, you could see that the flat was wide open. He just ran into the end zone. So they got the tight end to score. Just two really miscommunications there, I think, from the linebacker position. Gave up 2 touchdowns. Then we got the Lions offense back on the field. The first team offense did their job, made quick work of it. So second team got on the field, and the good thing is we're about to talk about the best play of the day. We're about to. Starts off with a James Mitchell screen, which was completely shut down. On top of that, they had a holding call, which backed them up, so they just moved back 10 yards. So now they were like 35 yards out, somewhere in that range. I think they were like 30 or 35 yards, yeah. So they moved back 10 yards. They played to kind of the rules here, I guess, of what was happening. They come back to Dylan Drummond. People are asking, Dylan Drummond. He runs an in-breaking route, contested, grab, reception. It was a really nice strike from Nate Sudfeld. Picked up a little medium chunk for them. Nothing huge, but it was contested like most of his receptions are. Picked up a chunk. Then they came back to what I would say is like a no-yard gain. Maybe he lost a couple. They did a rollout play. Nate Sudfeld did. And you could see he was like trying to direct, like, dude, move. And it never opened. The shot never opened. Probably could have just thrown it away. He was trying to like wait till last second. Kind of just ran into the linebacker. Play end there. So that wasn't great. However, it was a time for Jahmyr Gibbs to kind of shut down the day. Here we go. This is how he did it. Right here. So here's how he did it. So very next play, Jahmyr Gibbs catches an underneath route. Close, but short of the first down. This was on third down. Catches an underneath route, a yard short of the first down. Now, obviously, you want to see us get that distance. You don't want to see passes go a yard short. Like, in most situations, that's going to force you to take a field goal. Now, with Dan Campbell, he might just go for it. But in most situations, they go for that. Here's the flip side, though. They're a yard short. Lions offense stays on the field. And he has probably the most ridiculous catch I've seen. And if this doesn't get you hyped, I don't know what would. Jahmyr Gibbs was lined up. He does a wheel route on a 4th and 1. Safety flies over top, so he's sitting on top of it. There's an underneath coverage defender. He's between 2 guys on the left side of the end zone from 20 yards out. it's a pretty far drop back, so it's a pretty good amount of pretty deep throw. And we've seen him catch a lot of things, pretty good hands. Had a couple of he had a contested drop in individual. The other one he was covered up well. But again, these routes where there's not a lot of like pacing to the route, and it's kind of just run out on the wheel, just run the wheel. And then it was, hey, will you finish through contact? This was an incredible catch. That dude left the ground outside of his frame. 2 hands, plucked it between 2 guys, high pointed that thing, contested. I wrote, wow, caught it in the end zone for a touchdown, and he just shut it down right there, and that's how the scrimmage ended. I was like, dang, dog. Like, I felt good about some things. But that was the one, because it was like, okay, he's lining at receiver. That's really cool. That's going to be awesome. Not only is he lining at receiver, this dude has shown that he's had really nice hands. I think his route running will get better. He needs to improve there for how much he lines there. Because if you're going to line at the slot, and you're going to get slots, and you're going to get corners or safeties, you're going to have to be better with changing speed. Because not everything then is an angle route. Now, that's not a good... I know I went through all of his Alabama games, some Georgia Tech. I didn't see a ton of his Georgia Tech, so maybe I just missed some of this. At Alabama, there wasn't a lot of Jahmyr Gibbs in the slot. For me, it was more of a projection. It was, look, when he runs the routes that he runs, the times that he is in the slot, the rare occasions, or the angle routes... You see, like, the juice that he has, the speed, the catching, the ball skills, the toughness. You're like, okay, there's an upside here. The thing is, though, the route running in terms of, like, oh, he's going to run, like, a double move, or he's going to bop, boppity bop, like, he's going to do one of those. You're not, I think the route running side in terms of the technical side, kind of the pacing, changing it up, getting them on their heels, that kind of thing, that's going to be a little bit of a work in progress. But he's so explosive. You guys saw the play on Twitter, right? Or was it Instagram? Where he's matched up with linebacker yesterday and just gone. I mean, he wasn't even close. When you run those routes, the wheel routes, the angle routes, he flies out of the breaks. And that's where he's tough. So the fact that he caught this pass and he's lining everywhere, he's going to be such a big receiving weapon, as well as Sam Laporta, because we're seeing him align everywhere. A couple of my final notes here that I had just as a whole. After practice, like I said, David was going through post-practice, working on, running through the pads, holding on to the football. That was cool to see them. He took it upon himself. Drummond's over there talking to Khalif. He's working with Khalif Raymond. Drummond is, as well as Maurice Alexander got in the mix. Hendon Hooker we saw running around a little bit. I didn't see him throwing today, but I saw him running. We probably just left too early. And then, like I said, with the offense, it's the simplicity in terms of, I don't want to call it simple, but I'll say it's the understanding that the quarterbacks seemingly already have, the confidence, the really good reads, whether that's post-snap in terms of off coverage, hit that, or it's really more pre-snap. Let's get into the right call, as I touched on earlier. You're seeing that where they can key on something defensively, they can roll into a call that they like, and then other times it's a design. They're getting out there, they're immediately changing movement, but with the versatility they have, they're coming out with seemingly multiple plays, and they're saying, okay, this is the look we're getting, let's go to this. You're getting a lot of screens. If you're going to throw a lot of screens, you need guys that can run screens. You need guys that can block. Drummond has proven that he can block. Maurice is running screens well. Jahmyr Gibbs, he caught one yesterday, and it was nasty. It was like 2 cuts, and he was gone, and he scored a touchdown. Sam Laporta can run screens. So you do a lot of that, and then you get kind of the adjustments. Like sometimes they'll go from, spread everybody out, let's get heavy. Tight ends come in. We're going heavy personnel here, we're taking a shot. Or, hey, tight ends come in, we're going to run the ball. They're way too light in the box. Safety's sitting deep, we're running them. Safeties roll down, like the JMO one, we're going over top. And you're seeing a lot of that where even Sudfeld, the backup, even yesterday, would communicate pre-snap with his receivers, and then they'd go there. That tells you that they're on the same page. He's not just saying things. He's saying, I'm seeing this. Let's do this. A lot of that. Doesn't mean it always works, but it means that the understanding of the offense is there. 2 guys that have been here now, Goff 3 years. Now Sudfeld going into his 2nd year. 2 guys that understand this offense. I think Martinez has even seemingly got it. Like, he just isn't taking a lot of snaps, but he's looked pretty good when he's been out there. It's just like they seem to have it pretty dialed into a simplified way offensively, and defensively it's not any easier to stop because they're just adjusting to everything I throw at them pre-snap. They're really dictating to seemingly the defense, especially on those plays where they come out and they have 3 tight ends and they're like slot, outside, slot, and you're like, oh, really? And then they come in and they bring them all in, and you're like, oh, snap, now we got to deal with the run. So you're seeing a lot of that. By the way, Brock Wright, as I said, he can run block. I appreciate you, 7126781. We replaced the guys we traded, but we got better. Extra assets. Finally have depth. Definitely have depth. We've talked about that. That's the difference. I think King was hyped about that. I think that's a huge difference. Has created peacock defense. I like that. It's a good way to put it. Yeah, Ben Johnson, the offense just looks good. And the cool thing for me is it looks at its best with Goff. Like, again, the fact that we're doing read option. Now, hey, if if Hood and Hooker's out there, that's a real threat that he could take it. But even to just say, hey, Goff, sell the run a little bit here. Just sell it. Just to do that thing with Goff is like, it sprung a run for Jahmyr Gibbs. It wasn't the only thing. Obviously, the blocking, the movement was good. But it literally sprung a run because it held the edge just for a split second. He couldn't bring him down behind the line. When you like those wide zones, you're trying to stretch to the sideline. A lot of times you're running lateral early. If that edge rusher is just immediately pinning his ears back and going, you can get very big negative plays. Because everybody gets upfield, the backside can get run down from behind if there's hesitation. When Goff goes like this, and an edge rusher sits first, now that's not a threat. And it helps lead to those big runs. Obviously, the blocking comes first, but it does. And it's just been little things like that, man. It's really been little things like that schematically, offensively. So, yeah, those are the key notes that I have today, man. They scored 5 touchdowns on us today. Look, again, I couldn't see defense great, so I can't, agree or disagree. I could believe it. I could believe it. In terms of the whole day, I could see that. I mean, we probably scored somewhere in that range, too. It's weird, though, because it depends on how they were doing it, too. They definitely didn't score 5 in scrimmage. They scored twice. We scored twice. So, that was just even. So the scrimmage was even. They both scored. We had 2 breakdowns. We had offensively 2 good touchdowns, specifically the last catch for Jahmyr, but it wasn't the best drive at that point, but Jahmyr finished it off. Maybe throughout the scrimmage, or the reps throughout the day they did. I think that's possible. But there will be times where they move the ball, and there will be other times where they don't move it. They'll just do 3 plays, and then they'll just get off the field. They're not necessarily actually driving the ball downfield. So I could see it being possible that they did. But at the same time, I think probably we scored about 5 touchdowns today in total as an offense. So, I would say it's then probably pretty even. But again, I get to see as much of the defense. So most of my focus will go to Friday for that. Chad, let me hit you all with this too. I want to give you guys a little update. So a lot of Riley Patterson today kicking from what I saw. And I noted 1 miss. So, he made it. They were slowly backing up. Then they spotted the ball at the 35 from where he was kicking from. So it was a 45-yard field goal attempt. That was on the left hash. He made that kick as well. Then they put it at the 40. So he was kicking about a 50-yard field goal. He missed this one right. Then came back a little bit later, knocked it down 35-yarder, knocked down a 43-yarder, knocked down a 48-yarder, and knocked down a 52-yard field goal as well. So 1 miss, but 7 makes. Good for Riley Patterson today. And if you look at the unofficial depth chart, he's number 1 on there. Do you think they'll utilize Teddy at any point this season, even with healthy Goff? I would say no. I don't think Teddy becomes that. I mean, look, I guess I can't count anything out from Ben Johnson. I don't think Teddy's the kind of athlete like that. I think he has the ability to run. I mean, look, I'm not mad at it. I'm not saying I'm not trying to shoot down that creative idea. I think that's a heck of a creative idea, but I don't see it. I don't think they look at him as much as that. I would almost maybe see more of that of a Hendon Hooker. If they could go out there and run a trick play with Hendon Hooker, if he was healthy, that I could see because he could be, a guy that's going to stick around. I don't really see Teddy doing that. I think Teddy's really going to be prepped and he'll be helping out, but I don't think he'll mix in that much like that. But, I don't know. Obviously, I have no idea. I mean, it's possible. I don't want to say it's not possible. I just don't expect to see something like that. Chat, I'm going to throw up the unofficial depth chart here in case anybody hasn't seen it. This is my first time going through this, so with you guys. So let's go through this a little bit here because I kind of want to talk through this and just kind of get some thoughts. What is showing up on the screen here? Hold up 1 second, chat. All right. I want to walk through this a little bit and just see. I want to tell you what stands out to me about this. Now it's unofficial, so I get what in the world? Wait, yo, is this thing flipped? Hold up, chat. Let me re-put this in here. I'm not sure. It's flipped over. I don't know what I did to flip that thing over. Okay, there we go. What the heck? All right. Oh, look, nope. There. All right. All right. The unofficial depth chart that the Lions put out there. Some of these I don't believe is what it's going to look like in preseason. Maybe it is. Some of these I don't believe will. Are you going to have to punt to J-Mo to get this kid the ball? I don't think so. I hope not. I think Khalif will definitely be the punt returner. No, I think he'll be fine. They'll figure it out. I think they know what he does well. But you also have to remember it's practice. So I think there's things that there's still routes that he doesn't seem to do greatly, but he's still doing. And I think it's because they're trying to work through some kinks and, get more consistency there. But I think they also know what he does well. We've seen success on certain routes that he does well. Some of the, like I said, some of the more like DJ Chark type of routes, We've seen that. They know he can get over top. I mean, he gets over to the top a lot. Not all the time, but he usually gets at least a step. And they'll throw screens to him. I mean, if anything, at very least, they'll throw some screens to him. We've seen some of his athleticism when the ball gets in his hands. And he had that back at Bama, too. So, yeah, I mean, I expect that, but let me get myself back here. And I just want to show you guys what I noticed or what stuck out to me on this based on what I've seen. Let me go like this. Oh, gosh. All right, hold up one second, chat. I'm throwing up the wrong thing. All right, here we go. So I just want to walk through this, get your guys' thoughts on this, or just tell you what I see, because I know a lot of people are probably talking about this. Patterson over Romo. I don't know. I think if you ask me, I'd say Patterson is over Romo. Oh, from this, the unofficial thing, yeah, they do have Patterson listed ahead. But here's why I'm not taking this completely seriously. Here we go. So let me walk y'all through this and see what I'm saying. So you go to the offense here. Here's what I'm looking at. First thing you notice. Let me actually get my. I'll just go through it. So you have Antoine Green. I would say this first side looks good. Marvin, Jameson, Antoine, Trey Quinn. Obviously, Jameson's not going to be the first 6 games, so he's on there, but he's not going to be. He can be on there for preseason. Flips it to over here. You have Josh Reynolds, Khalif Raymond, Dylan Drummond, Maurice Alexander. This seems pretty accurate. I would say Dylan Drummond's definitely ahead of Antoine Green right now. There's kind of a mix between Trey Quinn, Maurice Alexander, and Green. Maurice almost feels like the guy that's been most consistent, but I could see why they would have it like this. And then obviously in the slot, or I guess not even a slot, they just have another receiver section. They have St. Brown 1. Denzel Mims feels high, but that's mainly because he's missed some time. I think Denzel Mims is pretty high for them. I think Denzel Mims is pretty high for them when he was healthy. They have Chase Cota here at 3, who's been good when he's gotten it. He just hasn't flashed a ton. And then Trinity Benson, who they're hopeful of, but he's injured right now. So I'm assuming that's kind of why he's at the bottom. On the offensive line here, we have Matt Nelson as a second tackle, which seems accurate. He's kind of been mixing with Obina Eze. He's mixed in at tackle, but he's been more consistently out there, higher groups. Same thing with Jermaine Ifedi, second team. I think that's accurate. Everything looks pretty accurate here. Darren Paulo above Logan Stenberg. That's something to note. He's been above Logan Stenberg from what I've seen. So I would have this moved up here. But these two guys have rotated at left guard. At right guard, Big V Graham. We've seen I think this is probably going to be accurate, but Graham's played some center because Frank's been out. Pierce Baker's, good spot. Colby Sorrell. Like, this feels pretty accurate. But we had seen second unit in the past where it was, when Frank was there, Big V's there, where second unit, they would go Graham Glasgow center and they put Colby Sorrell at guard. So we've seen that. I don't know that he's like in the best spot right now, but I don't think he's in a bad spot. I agree. I think Mims needs to show up in the game. I think he's going to be crucial for him. Is David looking good out there so far? I feel like Just Jack's really solid. I think he's the number 3. David's definitely the one. David's definitely going to be their go-to. David has shown that he's a good pass catcher. Pass protection is going to be the biggest thing to note. Can he do that? Will they use him there? Because especially if they want to put Gibbs in the slot and let him roll, they're going to need someone that can pass pro. So I would look for that part of his game because that hasn't necessarily always been looked at as an elite part of his game. But he's ran the ball well. I mean, just today he had 2 fumbles, which was just kind of all out of the ordinary. But yeah. Who else do we have? Okay, let's continue here. Chase Cota hasn't really flashed, but he's caught pretty much everything that's thrown his way. You've seen him on a lot of in-breaking routes. He's had a lot of contested grabs. Okay, let's continue. So the offense finds that. Tight end, we got Brock Wright 1. I kind of get it. Sam Laporta's mixed first team. He'll get a lot of the snaps, but Brock Wright's going to stick around. Honestly, I think I saw at times Brock Wright on the third team, but for me, I think all the 3 guys have really played across the board, except for Laporta. Laporta hasn't played with the third team, I don't think, but those guys have kind of all mixed. Daniel Helm, I think, would be tight end 4 at this point. Part of that's Daryl Daniels' injury. Another part of it is Daniel Helm has done well the last 2 days. Making himself an option, route running pretty well, finding some reliability underneath. Nothing special, but underneath. He got some flat work, those kind of things today. Receiver, again, we touched on this. So Josh, Khalif, Dylan, and Maurice. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. And then quarterback, that's accurate. Running back, because of the Hooker injury. Running back, David, Jameer, Justin. I kind of think this is how it's going to look. I think this is just truly how they look at it. And then this is kind of just a scramble here. I don't know. It's going to come down to a lot of preseason. I would say, obviously, after today, Muhammad Ibrahim probably kicks himself up there. Obviously, also, they have Ozigbo, but he'd be at the bottom just because he didn't really play today. I would say before Craig goes out, Craig was, to me, the number 4. I think that was kind of clear. And then I would have had Jefferson and Muhammad battling for 5, probably slightly leaning Jefferson just based on snaps. Today, Muhammad had probably the best day because there was no Craig. Without Craig, that'll be the battle. Jefferson did well yesterday. Muhammad did well today. So there was you kind of saw a little bit of both from those guys. Muhammad just did a little bit more in terms of more sample size today. Those guys will be battling. And it'll just come down to whether or not we keep 4. That'll be the biggest thing. Then Kabinda, he works first team, second team, but there's no other tight end. Although James Mitchell has gotten some tight end or fullback work. You know what I'm saying? So there's that. So exciting. Yeah, this is super exciting. So they ain't kind of, yeah, I think that's the new rule. They don't have to. I mean, you could though. You know, it's not like you have to. Like for example, other teams will probably move players. So if you like look at one game, you're like, oh, that wasn't so good, and someone else comes available, I wouldn't be surprised then if there's, because of that ability, if they tried to add guys during weeks, you know, that they're like, oh man, this guy's available, and we actually have roster spots for him. So, you know, maybe teams aren't letting go of guys, but I would assume there's going to be a lot of movement because of that. Teams want to jump on different players. Billy back up 3-4 BY. And that's the thing, like, I think I wouldn't count Julian out. He's really good for this role. Like I said at the beginning, we've seen Charles, we've seen James both going through off-ball linebacker drills in terms of coverage. They're getting those guys prepped for that. They're doing a lot of, you know, basically what they're asking, the same thing of Julian. They've all been doing it. I don't think Charles has done anything special, but he's solid there. He's solid. You kind of know what he is. James Houston has a lot of upside there. He's just kind of a weird one because he's a little bit different, but he has a lot of upside there. He moves really well, and obviously has the off-ball background. And then on top of that, he's so quick that he has some of the best unblocked ability, like in terms of he closes better than anybody else. So when he's locked in and he's tight on his reads, he's got so much upside there. So he may make it unless James Houston proves himself really well and like, yeah, he's going to hang this year. I could see then him becoming flexible, but outside of that, I wouldn't be shocked if he made the roster. Yeah, they haven't been using right at tight end much, man. Or fullback. Only guy I've really seen, I mean, we've seen it in the past, but it's been like James Mitchell really the only other guy, but it's mainly been Kabin. I don't think Kabin is going anywhere. Again, you don't get a lot of flash. You get the flats. He's catching them though. I mean, he's catching the pass thrown his way, and he's leading ways. And he had at least one block today, maybe 2. He had at least one lead block today that led to a big run. You know, he was part of that. So, love having your pods vids update while I'm working. You're crushing it. I appreciate you, Paulo. Yeah, I appreciate you. The depth chart looks like Lions rely on the guy with tenure over the newbie. Only thing keep in mind, like this is why I'm kind of addressing this, because I don't think a lot of these are accurate. I think there's a lot of these that probably won't be accurate. For example, let me show you. So they have they have Julian in the same category as Kaminsky and Charles. It makes sense with Charles, not really as much with Kaminsky. It doesn't completely make sense there. Though they both played on the edge, they're not the same type. He's played a lot. Julian's played a lot more, 9-tech, a lot more stand-up than John. John has occasionally, but not as much. Charles has been in a similar role to Julian there. DT, yeah, Alim's here. Levi, I would not put Levi. Here's the thing. Levi's not really like playing second team, but at the same time, because of the way that they listed this, like the issue is who they put on the field. Like so Isaiah Buggs starts at DT, and usually he starts with William McNeil. Then their second unit, they go to Broderick Martin, and usually you'll see guys like, Josh Pascal will kick inside. He'll move inside there. I haven't noted a ton of Christian Covington. I think Chris Smith should honestly be looked a little higher. Benito Jones is mixed in there. But we've seen a lot of Levi and Chris Smith playing together. So I get that he's listed with second team. It could be that way. I think that's definitely the hope. But it's not like what you've consistently seen. Like he hasn't looked like that guy consistently. So, but they have him listed there. Like I said, and that's because Pascal moves so much. Pascal plays at DT a lot for us. They got Hutch, Pascal, Houston, Roman. Again, it just depends. Like I said earlier, like it depends on who's on the field with who. If Broderick's out there, they'll put Pascal at DT. If Broderick's not out there, they may not put him at DT. They'll put him at edge because of what they're gonna ask him. They don't want him having to deal with a ton of gaps in assignments like that. Then you look at linebacker. You have Derek Barnes, Jack Campbell. Again, this is incorrect. Is this to what you guys were saying earlier? Okay, I didn't even know this was the thing. So yeah, Jack Campbell's the starter. He's been the starter. If maybe this is what they go out in for preseason because we saw like I think a couple years ago. Remember they never changed the lineup, so maybe they do that. But based on practice, Jack Campbell's been clearly the starter with Alex Anzalone, not Derek Barnes. All right, so I'll make that known. He has not been the starter with him, but he's played well. He's played well, but he's not been the starter. Jack Campbell and then Malcolm's been second team. We've seen him with Derek Barnes a lot. Anthony Pittman, JRM, that makes sense. And then Nowitzki, this is accurate. Now we got Trevor playing off ball, so that's accurate, I would say. Cam Sutton, Chase Lucas. This one's the most interesting one is that they have him listed as outside corner and not nickel. He's been a nickel in the past, but this will be the big thing because he's played outside corner. Can he do this? If he can prove this, that could give him a shot to make the team. Now, they have Jerry and Cameron. Those have been the starters. Starling's been 2. Big thing is we've seen a lot of Will Harris play the second outside corner with Starling with second team. They have him listed at nickel. Again, I think that's just based on what he did last year. He'll probably be that. Maybe he might be that during the season. But I think these two are kind of flipped. Although if we see that, I think he'll mix around. But, maybe we see that in the preseason. They want to get looks at Chase Lucas on the outside. I hope they do. I want to see him play there because I think that's the only way he cracks the roster. I think Will Harris can make it because they already know he can play depth. But they need Chase. I think Chase Lucas needs to show some versatility if he's going to make the roster. Okay. Oh, you guys talk about Levi. I'm making sure I missed nothing in here. Carolina Panthers thinks they signed James Houston. Heck no. Lions should play the Coliseum versus in Roma. It's a guaranteed victory. Play at the Coliseum in Roma. Okay. And then I'll finish this out. I'm sorry. I just want to go through this, make some notes of this. So, they got Cleo. They just have Mosley down here because he's not there right now. Tay Hayes. Yeah, he's been mixing in. Stephen Gilmore. This seems kind of right. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Brian Branch. Again, I would flip this. From what we've seen, starting-wise, last two scrimmages, it's been C.J. safety, it's been Tracy Walker second team, and it's been Brian Branch starting nickel. So that's what we've seen a lot of, so that you can kind of rotate these into triangle. But, maybe we see a little bit of this, but that's really what we've seen. Savion, Iffy have been second team. These guys have been third team. And, this is accurate for special teams, I think. Khalif, I think, and Just Jackson, that's a projection because it was just last year, so that's more projection than anything. So, I don't know. Hopefully that made sense. Does anybody have any thoughts, like anything that you wanted to touch on about that? I think we cleared that up. That's what I've seen. Maybe this is exactly what it looks like. I mean, if it is, then there you go. But I think a lot of this is just based on last year. A lot of this is just like, okay, he was this last year. Like, for example, Will Harris, we're just going to list him at the same spot. But the Chase Lucas one is the most interesting one because they have listed outside corner. And maybe I don't really completely understand that one, but that may be the transition. And I haven't seen as much defense as I'd like to see, so I can't really confirm. I've seen him a lot in the nickel, but maybe they go out there and they put him at outside corner, and that's what I hope they do. So maybe that's why he's listed there. One of our safeties demanded trade. Look, man, hey, from what I've seen, he's played really well. So like I said, I think Tracy starts preseason because he's the vet. I think he'll go first team. I think they'll put CJ in the nickel. So it's very possible that this is what they do just based on last year. But if you're asking me what we've seen, that's not what we've seen, at least to start off. Now, he's mixed in first team. He's not like he's not playing first team. But at first snap, that's not what we're seeing. Although, I think for preseason, it's very, very possible that the Lions do that. They end up starting Tracy Walker. They put CJ at the nickel position. And then as the game rolls on, they'll probably put Branch at the nickel spot. And probably CJ would probably just be done. There's like a couple of these guys they probably don't feel like they need to see. So, for example, like Brian Branch, they may just, some of these guys they don't really need to see. So they may let CJ get out there, get his snaps, let Branch sit first, let Tracy get out there, get his snaps, take him out. That way Branch can play more consistently after that. Then, and he'll play against a different team rather than putting him out there first. I think they'll lean into the vets. So maybe this is more for what preseason is going to look like than they will in terms of what we've seen. I think they'll try to do that because they want those guys in and out. Chris Smith practice squad, it seems likely that that's where he'll end up, but he's played well. He's played pretty well. How many wide receivers do teams carry usually? 5 or 6. Usually it's somewhere right there. I think rarely you'll get like a 7, but usually 5 or 6. For Chris Jones to start Branch. Hey, you know what? If they took that, I'd have to consider it. But CJ is gonna be huge for this defense, and I think he's real at safety. Like, I like him honestly. I think a little bit more at safety, especially now because Brian Branch has done what he's done. But even before seeing that, I liked him more at safety, I think. Just based on I really liked what he looked like at safety. So I kind of hope he plays at safety a little bit. But like I said, preseason, I would expect Tracy to start. Brian Branch will be a good kid under mentorship. Yeah, it's gonna be helpful for him, I think. Laporta isn't starting. That's the thing. Like, Laporta, first play of the preseason, probably not. It'll probably be Brock Wright unless they go 12. But no, Laporta's gonna be on. Laporta plays first team, and he doesn't play, third team and things like that. He plays first team, plays some second team, but he's seemingly, and I don't have the exact snap counts, seemingly he's played more and more with the first team. So he'll be out there with the first team. I almost guarantee you that we'll see at least one snap with the first team offense if we play the first team offense. But we'll definitely see him with the second team offense. Because again, the thing with this is, if this is how they go for preseason, it'll to me be saying, okay, like for example, a lot of these guys, we don't need to see a lot of them. I don't need to see a lot of Charles Harris. Or, you don't need to see a lot of Brock Wright. We kind of know what he is. So we can let him get in, get his snaps, get out, lean on Laporta. We want to see the young guy. I think that's how it's going to be with a lot of these guys. But Ito Jones, honestly, this one would surprise me still. If Jack Campbell didn't start, I would be surprised. But if they did it, it's because of that reason. Not because Barnes has been above him. To me, it would just be, we'll give us Barnes his snaps and get him out of there. But I don't think Barnes is in that. I don't think Barnes is in that spot if they want to give him snaps to get out of there. I think they all need snaps. Outside of Alex. Alex will play a few snaps. Maybe he'll rotate with Jack and Derek, and then Jack and Derek will kind of roll on from there. And we'll probably see both of them throughout the preseason because it's not like, Derek's locked in a spot, but he's probably going to get a spot. You know what I'm saying? So, that's kind of my take on it. Can we even see? Yeah, you guys can't see it. Is Brock still over James? They kind of rotate. Like Brock will play third team, he'll play first team, second team. Brock's got a different role. Brock is much more of the inline blocker. Brock is and we've seen a lot more movement with James Mitchell. He's been a much more movement piece. He's been fullback, tight end. He's been wide. Brock doesn't do that. Brock doesn't align really outside of inline. He kind of just sticks in line, blocks, and then does routes out of that. Brock really doesn't leave the line of scrimmage, or he doesn't really, disconnect from the offensive line. That doesn't really happen. He's usually always in line. James is usually the more movement piece. But if you ask me if the lines came out in 12 personnel, who would be the two they go to? I would probably assume Brock Wright and Sam Laporta. But if they want to obviously get a pass play or setting up a screen, then they may go to James Mitchell, because there's just a different role for those two. But thing is, Brock blocks well. He really runs blocks well. So. And he's shown himself, he's shown off a little bit in those areas so far. So they know what he is. They know it's like, hey, his role is what his role is, but they know exactly what he is. And he does his job at a high level, or at a pretty high level, I should say. I'm so weak, I've just sent him midseason, and we went 1-6, 9-8. Oh my gosh, get out of here, Phantom, you lying. C.J. Gardner-Johnson is a tiny bit borderline hyper, was the reports. Ray Lewis, Lawrence Taylor was a tiny bit borderline hyper was the report. Oh, that he's like energized like crazy. Yeah. CJ Gardner-Johnson is always fired up. That dude plays with his hair on fire, dude. He is as loud as they come. Someone said that he was talking trash to Amani Oruwariye. I was told that. So it doesn't shock me. Like CJ Gardner-Johnson is pretty nuts. He's pretty nuts when he's out there. But honestly, he fits in well. And, I think this probably would have naturally happened with Kirby because you could see it last year. Kirby was a very energetic, young player that as his role expanded, he became a little bit more of that on the field. But now because his role has been almost solidified as a starting safety, as well as him having a guy like CJ with him, and in year two, he's kind of, I think, I don't want to say came out of his shell or whatever, but he's really, became a really vocal presence with CJ Gardner-Johnson. Like those two guys become very vocal defensively together. So and Tracy talks a lot too, man. He does too. He loves doing that stuff. What's up, Kurt? My man Kurt's in the building. How you doing, man? It's good to see you. I love your profile picture because you're smiling, man. I think you're smiling. It puts a smile on my face when I just see you sitting there smiling, man. I appreciate that, man. How you doing? Like Chris, I can't tell if you're Chris. You look like that picture does not look happy. But if Chris over here smiling, you know what I'm saying? See, Phantom, there you go. There you go. And I think that's really what it's done for him. I mean, some of it's going into year two, but, I think he's kind of taking those dudes under his wing, and they all kind of just rock with each other. There's a lot of good support on the defensive side. A lot of young guys, though. Drummond Green will be practice squad guys. Raymond, Reynolds, Jones, St. Brown, J-Mo, Mims. Yeah, Mims is going to have to show up if he's going to make the roster. Because right now, like I said, if I was doing the roster, I'd put Drummond above Mims. Because kind of like when they did with Tom Kennedy, I know what he's going to do. The difference is, I think Mims has clearly performed better in training camp than what Brashad Perriman did when he was here. And I don't know if I went to all the training camp. I think I did. I think he's performed more consistently when he's been on the field. The difference is he's been on a different team. He's been on a much lower team when he's been out there. Antoine Green has really shown up the last couple of days. It feels like it's going to be hard to keep him around, though. To me, I won't predict because I think it's all going to come down to a preseason. I don't think that's a bad prediction, Paul, but I'm going to say it comes down to preseason. We'll find out then. Because I don't think you're going to get a ton of special, but if you have a guy that's going to block on screens, if you have a guy that catches literally everything that's contested, it's hard to not keep those guys. And the timing with Jared, if he literally is playing first team, he has good timing. Denzel Mims, he has good timing with Jared Goff. That's something that Mims would do occasionally. Antoine Green was not doing that. A lot of that's because he's a rookie. Like that, he's in a good spot. Khalif go for 800. So someone say they think Khalif will play a lot. Absolutely. I think it was my man Thielick. Khalif could absolutely go for a big year. It's just going to come down to snaps. But I think what you're seeing is Khalif's, obviously he's an excellent route runner. His whole route tree's wide open. They can do a lot with him. But his ability as an underneath route runner, I think, is going to expand a ton. And that's what's going to stand out, is that he's going to be really electric there. But honestly, when Jamal's out, it'll probably be still more of the deep shot stuff, because J-Mo kind of hides it now, but without J-Mo, unless it's Denzel Mims, and Mims could do that, but Mims I've seen making a lot of plays. Mims hasn't been the guy that's consistently, pulling off people downfield. He's been the guy that's more so been opening up second level and catching, through the zone of the defense. Khalif Raymond is the one guy that brings that kind of threat over top. So Khalif probably early will kind of play in a similar role, I think, last year. And if J-Mo comes back and he's contributing consistently, I think Gibbs' role expands a little bit to kind of more of an underneath game. I'd like to see him utilized in backfield sometimes too. Who is Drummond's pro comparison? Oh man. And also don't overlook Maurice Alexander. I don't think he's on the team yet. I wouldn't say he's the guy that's making the team right now, but Maurice has done really everything right. He's done a lot of things right, man. And he also brings special teams ability. But he's done a lot of things right, and he's got a real skill set. Now, again, they're not using him on a lot of the shot plays, but you can see underneath the kind of movement he has. It's gonna be tough for him because Khalif does a lot of the things that he does. Punt return work, Khalif's the guy. Underneath stuff, Khalif's that guy. So he does a lot of things that I think Khalif can do, which is kind of tough for him. But I wouldn't overlook him because he's had a good camp, I think, to this point. I don't know who his pro comparison is. I couldn't even. I don't know. I think I could think that maybe he doesn't have the body type of Quintez Cephas, but maybe something like that. Maybe like closest to what we've had. Maybe something like that. I liked Raymond. We had him. Was low key mad. We let him go. He's so good. Okay. We got a Titans fan, right? I was like, wait, who is it? Okay, I got you. Yeah, man. He's finally, and you know what the thing is, bro? Like, he's finally had his role, he got his role expanded. Like, elsewhere, he never had his, he never had a big role. Grits and cheese on fried eggs. Oh, that don't even, does that sound good? That don't sound good. Can I see you, though? Mike Singletary. Come on, Philippines. You already know. Philippines, what is your picture, man? Yes, sir, man. Elijah. What up, Dose? Sorry I'm late. No worries, Elijah. I'm glad you're here. And again, for anybody that's just stopping in, if you missed it, we did this very similar to the last training camps videos, so feel free to go back, roll it back. We kind of go through the day and check it out. Yeah, it's kind of like a video. And obviously, we're kind of just talking now, but for the first hour, it was kind of like a normal video. And most of them were like an hour. Who gets the final edge defender roster spot? It depends. How many you let me keep? If you let me keep 5, I'm getting it to Julian. If you let me keep 5, I don't know who you're considering edge. Like, Charles is going to make it. Charles to me makes it. Hutch is going to make it. James Houston is going to make it. Ooh, actually, that's a good question. James Houston's going to make it. I think then Romeo's 4, Julian's 5. Which would leave out, honestly, nobody. That doesn't leave out anybody. The question to me is going to be, is one of the Okwaras above the other? Like, that's the big question to me, is like, one of them over the other. I've seen a lot of second and third from both of those guys' team. Could one of them keep it and one of them don't? I would almost kind of believe that they would lean Romeo because he took the pay cut, because they wanted to have him back like that. I would kind of lean they would keep him. They're both only have 1 year left on their deal. But I kind of get the sense all 5 are going to be here. But I think if you ask me, I think they'd lean Romeo if they only kept the 4. He played for the Giants? Who? Did Khalif also play for the Giants? I know he played for the Titans, so yeah, okay, that makes sense. Like movie star now? Nah, I ain't no. Hey, I don't think so. You know what I'm saying? But no, we just having fun. Does Martinez make the practice squad? Him and Hooker could be the future at quarterback. I would love to see Martinez make the practice squad. I hope he does. Martinez has played well. He just isn't getting snaps anymore. He's kind of getting like 2 snaps, then he's done. And as soon as the time that Sudfeld's there with Teddy, if they're both in the building at the same time, he won't get snaps anymore. So I hope he does, because I think that's a really good spot for him. And he's played like there hasn't been much bad. If anything, there's been more bad plays, probably because of more opportunity for bad plays from the second unit with Sudfeld. And he's had flashes. I'm worried the Lions are getting too much hype too soon. Okay, but what would you rather have, right? A ton of hype because there's expectations, or a ton of people saying we're the underdog again. Because we've lived the second one for a long time. We've lived, we're the underdog. We're the underdog. I'm not mad at a change up. You know what I mean? Something's got to happen. How's Broderick people mover Martin look? Exactly what you would expect, I think, of him. Exactly what you expect. Not a lot of flash. He's the guy that helps everybody else. Pascal's been great. If you're concluding Pascal's an edge. I don't consider him an edge. I consider him almost just a defensive lineman. But, Josh Pascal's been great. He's been outstanding. Josh Reynolds starting over JMO. Do you think Campbell uses the depth chart to motivate players? I mean, maybe. I mean, that if it works, yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. The only thing with that, though, is that JMO can't play. So I don't know where they put JMO on the depth chart. I mean, preseason he can. So did they put him at the bottom, or did they say him, like, where did they put him at? Oh, they did put him on at the second. Yeah, I guess because, yeah, this feels like a preseason depth chart. This is what it's going to look like in the preseason, I would assume. And, okay, you know what I think this is? That's a really good point. I think this is probably what preseason is going to look like. Josh will start because he's been getting first-team reps. Honestly, we've seen more Marvin Jones Jr. on second team than Josh Reynolds. They really like him. He's a starting receiver right now for us. JMO plays second team a majority of the time. So Marvin plays some second team. JMO almost exclusively plays second team. First team is Josh Reynolds all the time. He never plays second team. So just based on that, probably for preseason, that's probably the way that they'll go. When he comes back, he's going to get his snaps. But for now, that's kind of what they've done. Is Brock Wright starting over Sam? I kind of touched on this earlier. Like, is he starting? I think the question's, like, they're two different pieces. You know what I mean? Like, Brock Wright has a role, and he's good at it. He's an inline blocker, and he'll run underneath stuff. But they are way two different pieces. Sam Laporta can do that, and they ask him to do it. Usually when they put multiple tight ends, he'll stay in line and block. But for the most part, he is a receiving piece. He's a slot. He's an outside. He is an inline. He is a receiving piece. Brock Wright is not that at all. Brock Wright has his lane. He has his lane. Sam Laporta plays first and second unit. So does Brock Wright. He mixes through as well. But I just don't think they're the same at all. It just depends on what they're going to try to do. Like you won't see Brock Wright take snaps from Sam Laporta. Like if they want a pass catch tight end, they're not going to put Brock Wright in there over Laporta. No chance. You know what I mean? Like the fact is they're comfortable with Laporta. They feel he plays with the first team well, and he is. There's been like occasional hits of like, oh, the timing was off. But they feel confident with him with the first team, it seems like now, and he's really been picking it up inside the rhythm of the offense. Yes, sir. We got to keep playing like underdogs, like the underdogs do. Don't let the... I get that. I agree with that. Don't let the hype get to you. But I would also... I almost prefer... it's kind of hard because I almost feel like some of this... Like I think a lot of some of that talk can be... Not what you're saying, but like when you hear like on the media and they're like, oh man, how much pressure is it? Or, oh, is a hype going to get to... Or the expectations going to get... Like, I almost feel like as a player... You're not thinking on 3rd and 12, right? When you're in a cover 2 defense and you're playing safety and you're reading the slot and the outside receiver and you're jumping, you're not thinking in that moment like, oh man, they're expecting us to win this game. Like no one, I can't, you know what I'm saying? You guys get what I'm saying? Like in the moment, I mean, you could step away from it so I can understand how like work ethic, like, oh dude, we're going to do it and you kind of pull back. But if anything, I'm hoping that what the expectation does is you look at it as, man, we're supposed to be this, and anything less is a failure. Like, we can't go out there without having the mindset that we need to practice better than everybody else because we need to go take this thing because we are the best team. We deserve to win this thing. But, like, so that's kind of how I look at it from, like, an outside when you talk about training and working. So I'm with you on there. But I think, like, once you get into a game, like, during play, like, there's no way a player's thinking of, like, man, there's so much hype. Like, nah, like, come on, dog, you're playing the game. You know what I mean? Like, it's the matchup. It's you against that guy. It's you on the play. You know, like Jared Goff isn't going out into the huddle like, dang, bro. Hey, we don't get this done. You know what I'm saying? He's like, bro, like, where am I supposed to go with the football? That's what he's thinking. Have you done a record prediction show? I have not yet. We'll do soon. Probably closer to the end of preseason, you know, when we have a good sense of what the roster is going to be. And same thing with other teams. That's how Decker said it. I can't. There's a stupid heart. I mean, it's not stupid, but there's a heart. There's a heart in the way. So, what are your expectations for the Lions this year? What's this team ceiling? I think the team ceiling Super Bowl. and I expect them to win the division. I expect them to have at least win 9 like last year, but I expect them to go win the division. At least to the very end, they should be in competition. They should have an opportunity at the very end of the year to win it, like last year. You know, I don't think the Packers are going to be terrible this year. 10-11, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Like, I think that's right there, compete for the division. So that's what I expect. It's down to the final week. We right there. We have a chance to win it all. I win the division, and I think that's got to be the expectation. At very least, you know, you want to be in playoff contention. If we're not in playoff contention, it's obviously a failure. If we're out of the playoff race in the last week of the season, that's not a good season. We almost beat the Bills with the worst defense. And you know what, though? About that time is when our defense started to kind of take off. Like about that time is when our defense really improved. From that, really about that stretch on, our defense was way better. They were completely different. You know, because I always hear that too, like the national stuff. It's like, man, Lions' worst defense, man. Can they even like have some, you know, solid? Can they even have like an average defense? It's like, well, we were above average to end the season, at very least average, you know. But obviously for the entirety of the season, we were terrible. When you look at just the stats, he was thinking of the fans and not letting us down. Hey, man, you know what? Whatever inspires him, then, man. Like, I wouldn't think that in the moment I could be thinking of that. But to me, that almost feels like an expectation thing, because as your expectation, like coming into the game, I don't want to let the fans down. I don't want to let us down against Green Bay. And that almost like that's an expectation that you're kind of putting. Like, I can't let us down. You know what I'm saying? Like, I expect that I'm going to beat this guy. Like, I think that's a good mindset. But I think from a play-to-play standpoint, I wouldn't be thinking that. I wouldn't be thinking I can't let my guy down. I mean, now I might be thinking I can't let Goff get hit again. Goff is not getting hit on this play when I roll out there. But do you think James Houston will be a 4-down defender? 4-down defender? No. No, I mean, I don't want to say no. No, because we'll rotate so much. I don't know if anybody's going to be really a 4-down defender outside of, like, Aleem and Hutch, you know, some of the DBs. But I would say no, because I think we're going to rotate too much, and you have Charles, and he's been above him, you know, about pretty much the whole training camp. He's been above James. Not to say that's how it's going to stay, but I would say no. But I think he'll have a bigger role. I think much bigger role than last year. Tony might not play week 1. Ooh, that'd be helpful. Hey, you know, anything can help. I played for AG sent to his kid. The signing was too easy. Do you think he will mentor the DBs? Man, I feel like if you don't, CJ almost feels like the kind of guy that if you're another defensive back in the room, you have to pick his brain, man. You have to. Like, you have to just see it. What, number one, energy, but at number 2, just like watch him play it and how he plays the game. And I feel like you have to just be able to take from that. Like, you got to just see, like, man, you see how he's doing it? And, like, now, with that, though, I think he did speak on that, and he said, like, yeah, he's trying to help the young guys. Like, I think he actually said that he was trying to do that. So, based on that, yes. If Kadarius Toney doesn't play, who scares me besides Kelsey? Mahomes. I mean, look, I don't want to say no one scares me. Like, their receiving core isn't great. I think Rashee Rice could fit in pretty well there. I don't even know their entire receiving core, to be honest with you. It's just a creativity offense. And like I said, we saw that in the Super Bowl. A lot of motion. We have done a lot of motion these last 2 days of training camp. A lot of movement. Chiefs will do the same thing, and they usually hit the ground running. So a lot of movement's going to be the challenge, is communication. It's going to be tested immediately. Like, hey, we better be on the same page. This can't be week 4 thing. If we ain't on the same page week 1, we're going to have multiple breakdowns into big plays. And sometimes that happens. But that would be the biggest concern for me. I think, I would say over, Derek. Yeah, I would say over. Is it reasonable to believe we'll beat the Chiefs in the season opener? I think so. I mean, like, we almost beat the Eagles last year, and they played against them, and they lost by 3. So what? That's 6 points, right? I mean, yes, we could absolutely beat the Chiefs. I think you could make a case every week that there's every game, the way we're constructed now, you could win. I think last year if we would have gotten the playoffs, you could have made a case against anybody. We could have beat them. And I think that's because we have the trenches on paper. We've proven we can run the ball, and it's looked much better today. So if the run game is even to where, if it is where it was last year or better, which would be great, you're going to have that. It's going to carry for most games, bad weather. I think we have bad weather options. You know, it won't be bad weather in KC, but you have bad weather options now. And, like if you just took the defense from the second half of the season, if we would have had a defense that was playing second half of the season, right, when you look at some of those numbers, first to completion percentage, you know, top 10 pass rating allowed, I would I would have probably picked them to beat the Chiefs. The way the offense was rolling, the way that it's not going to be a bad weather game. Like, the fact is, it's going to be warm weather. Yeah, it's outdoors. We've seen, like, if it's good weather, we're very capable of just putting up big-time points, putting up 30. And when you supply that with, if our defense is just the same as we ended last year, which is a lot to ask, if it's better, great. But if it's even just the same, absolutely. I could have took us against anybody last year, which is why I know a lot of us were just like, man, let's just get in the playoffs, because if we get in there, we can win. Like, we knew that we could beat anybody on any given Sunday. Now, we could also play really bad. You know, we had an ugly one against the Panthers. So it doesn't mean that you're going to beat everybody, but you knew that it was in them to beat anybody, especially if it was a home game or a nice weather game. You know, the games that we struggled to score, Chicago, outside. Green Bay, outside. You know, like, now Green Bay at home the first time was well, but we had, like, 0 weapons in that game. But those are the ones where we had some up and downs, like moving the football. Jets, great defense, too. But, no, like, yeah, especially week 1. Exactly, Liam. Like, I think the schedule set up really well. Hey, what's up, Everything King? My man in the building. Wow, my throat hurts. I ain't gonna lie with you. Is Jared Goff bound for an MVP season? I wouldn't count it out. If you're looking at numbers and wins, he'll be in there. I think he'll be in there. I think we'll see more interceptions this year, but possibly a higher completion percentage, and more yards. Craig or Jackson, who's running back 3? I would say Jackson right now. If the Lions can stop the run, contain Travis Kelce, we win. Hey, man, that's it. And that's like a insane thing to ask, right? It's like contain Travis. But, yeah, I mean, if you can find a way. I would like to see Iffy get the look. He won't, because he won't start. But I'd like to see Iffy get some snaps there. You know, I really want to see get snaps against Miss CJ. CJ played safety last time they played, especially if he's in the nickel. But he can actually cover tight ends. Now, that's not to say that Kelce wasn't getting the best of him. But it wasn't like he was getting cooked either, you know, like not consistently. He had some. Kelce got him a couple times. He had I think on in route he got him well, and then over the middle of the field when he was at safety. But nah, like I would see, he's proven himself at a pretty good level matching tight ends, even though he's undersized, and he'll probably get the matchup most of the time. Kirby won't as much. If the Lions can stop the run and get, hey, yeah, shout out to Kurt and King, man, that's awesome. We need to do something together, because I think next show we do with King, we should get Kurt on there. We gotta. I want to get like a big channel going, like not a channel, a little panel going. I mean, I haven't been part of one of those in a minute. I think that'd be fun. I like that, Jeff. I can see something like that. Jack Campbell and Kelce. I think I'm not gonna lie. Campbell might get cooked a little bit when some of the routes get a little bit when the routes get a little complex. Like, I trust him on a stick route to undercut that thing and jump it. Although once it starts getting it or seam, but once he starts going like the the stick nods and stuff, it might be a little difficult. The positive will be, in zone, yes. Obviously he has some good speed, but it'll be the length. You'll have to put in a good spot. But hey, okay, underneath passes, I believe it. I think we'll actually see a lot of Alex Anzalone on him. I think Alex will get a lot of looks on him because Alex can really move. But either way, bro, it's just so hard. It's gonna have to be a tandem build. It's gonna have to be Jack Campbell and Alex, and then as soon as it breaks 5 yards, that safety's got to help him. As soon as that breaks 5 yards, someone's got to pick him up. Then I'm with you, Kurt. I gave him a. What I get? You guys remember my video on? I don't know what I gave him, man. It wasn't a great grade. It was somewhere around average. Zone, I gave him a pretty good grade in that. So I agree with that. I mean, I guess it'll be a lot of things like that, where you'll get like Jack Campbell, playing within. Is he going to carry? And then he'll probably pass it off to his safety. We'll get a lot of things like that, trying to bracket it in. That way he's not, getting a mismatch or something like that. But Jack Campbell is going to get exposed against Kelce. Oh no! Hey, we'll help him out. We know that, like they know that. They know that they can't just put Campbell on him and just say go to work. Like they know that. I think they know that. They'll be like, okay, we're gonna try to play the right spots here. He eats Miracle Whip on his hot dogs. Look at this. I need evidence, because I feel like right now what you're doing, King, is you try to make that picture you sent me make more sense. That's. Hey, look, I told you though, that food looked good. Like you said, don't knock it till you try it. I knocked it, and I looked at it though. it looked kind of fire. Like I'm trying to figure out why I haven't got the address, you know, to go over there and get myself a hot dog with some Miracle Whip. That's what I'm, especially on the bread like that. Hey, though, I ain't even hating though, man. Like, people, the real ones do know that hot dogs on bread, like, I was asking you if that was your go-to. But if, like, you only have bread on your hot dog, that's not bad. It's, for me, I'm a ketchup guy. It's good. Like, it, now, if you're doing it on wheat bread, we might have to stop talking. Because there's levels to this. Like, if you eat wheat bread for sandwich, I'd be like, that's kind of weird, but okay. Although, if you're making a hot dog with wheat bread, now we got a problem. If you're doing like on rye bread, please leave the chat. That's kind of where we're at. Pumpernickel. Hey, I don't even know what pumpernickel is, to be honest with you. Derek Barnes could definitely run a straight line with him. I don't think he'd keep up with him through breaks, but he could run a straight line with him for sure. You try to hit him up the seam, but Barnes could hang. Have you ever been to an American Coney Island? If not, stop by. I'll give you free food if you're ever in town. To American Coney Island. Where's that at? I'll write it down. Where's that at? I have not been there. Of course. I appreciate that, man. Y'all know, dog. Hey, before we get out of here, let's, here's what I want to do. Can I put a, I can. Okay, we're going to start a poll here. Hot dog toppings, all right? Now I need to know like who we got in here. I'm gonna put mayo because I can't spell Miracle Whip. I want to see what kind of percentage we're getting here. So please answer this poll. I want to know where chat's at, because then I gotta get a kind of sense of who I'm talking to really here. You know what I mean? This will settle a lot of things. Put in some chili. That's fire. Oh, there was an immediate no. I know. Hey, I know King immediately clicked yes there, bro. Okay, see, look. Oh, my goodness. No. Okay. So, 130 are a little weird. Outside of that. Oh, my goodness, man. No, my goodness, man. Wonder Bread fire. Like, I'm not mad at that, Liam. Cheese, ketchup, and Wonder Bread. Like, that's good. I'm with you. That's good. I ain't mad at that. But, like, here's the thing where King at least, like, he kind of saved himself. He sent me a picture, and he had, like, ketchup, mustard, and mayo was on it. If he just sent me a picture of a hot dog with mayonnaise, I would have, like, we would have had some real questions. The fact that it was, like, ketchup and mustard were clearly there, so maybe you're getting, like, a mix. Maybe it's, like, a Big Mac kind of sauce. But he had other flavors. It wasn't just mayonnaise. Like, if you're just putting mayonnaise on it, here's the thing. You got it. Nah, dog. Like, I can't even. You just eat it plain at that point, bro. Don't just put mayonnaise on there. All right, look, man. 130, y'all. Okay, see, it's 32%. What 32% of you is saying yes? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay. You know what? You guys are gonna make me have to try this because you all are hyping this thing up. Duracell got burnt by Barkley today. I didn't even see it, but I could believe it. Barkley's tough, man. I was kind of surprised he was out there because, you know, all the contract stuff, but cinnamon raisin bread with bratwurst. Dog, what? Dog, what? Hold up. Yo, are you asking me or are you telling me that's the move? What? Like, why would you even try that? You know, like, are you out of the other bread? If you're out of the other bread and you're like, hey, man, I only got that cinnamon. Like, I don't see a scenario in which I would be like, hey, bro, let me get that cinnamon raisin bread for my brat. Like, nah, dog, I'm just eating the brat. I would just cut it. Like, even if I didn't, there's no way I would put. Oh gosh. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, if you're mixing it, all right. Yeah, I got respect for that. But just like, oh, gosh, okay. I appreciate you, man. And yeah, feel free, y'all. Message me on Instagram, Twitter. I'm doing my best to reply to those. I may be a little bit behind actually right this second, but feel free to message me, man. Reach out. Let me know your thoughts on things. What you want to hear, those kind of things. Yeah, man. You guys got any ideas? The plan is, so tomorrow's no camp. Friday we're back with the game. We'll be live for the game. Thursday, I don't know exactly what's going on tomorrow. We may have a show on another channel, so I may be somewhere else tomorrow. So we'll just kind of stay tuned and see what happens. But I'm going to wrap it here, man. Again, if you're joining now, feel free to roll it back. Watch the beginning. We went through some of these notes. Shout out to everybody that came in, man. You guys were awesome. And it seems like you guys, can I get a one if you guys enjoyed live stream, 2 if you like video better? Let me know. 1 live stream, 2 video. What format you guys like better? I think it was a little bit more hectic live. That's on me. It forces me to make less notes, which I think is good. But, you know, I got to improve a little bit there in terms of just the way that I kind of meshed that in. But I think the interaction was cool. I think that was really good. Yeah, linebackers had some breakdowns today. Derek Barnes, Malcolm Rodriguez. There was a couple of breakdowns there in coverage. You know, the second one may have been more so of a safety linebacker read. But there was a little bit of breakdowns today. I think Jack he's moved really well. They've trusted him. Derek Barnes looked really good up to this point. Malcolm, you know, Malcolm's kind of Malcolm. He kind of feels like you know exactly what he is. A lot of ones. You guys are really feeling that. Live stream all day? Really? Really? Okay. I mean, and also the benefit is it gets out earlier. I felt so bad, y'all, putting out at 9 o'clock. I was like, dang, dude. And it was frustrating because, like, I probably took about 4 hours to put it together, 4 or 5. And I was like, man, when it has to come out late, I'm like, dude, you know, the people are going to bed, man. I'm like, they're not even going to see it. But I appreciate it. All the support. I know you guys are always watching. I see someone just clicked yes. Come on, man. You didn't think I'd see that? You thought we were just going to slide that in there and change the poll? Oh, my gosh. Who clicked yes again? Get King and Rad back. Oh, yeah. Rad's free. We may do a show with Rad. I'll have to hit up King, and we'll see when he's free. But definitely going to do one with Rad here soon. Maybe tomorrow. I mean, who knows? It's possible. But, yeah, man, we're going to wrap this thing up. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And until next time. I don't know what that was. I don't know where I was going with that. Thank you, Prop, for watching. You look for updates right after camp. Well, DJ, then this is perfect. This is probably much better. Because I got to drive. It's about an hour and a half drive for me. Hour 15, hour and a half. So by the time I get in, I go through my notes. I rewrite them. Make sure I feel good about what I wrote down. Make sure I can read it. So I go through all my notes. And, you know, that's why it takes a little bit. So I can't do it like immediate unless I do it from there. But, tomorrow or Friday. No, Friday will be game day. So probably not alive until the game Friday. And then tomorrow we may go live. Tomorrow's possible. I'll reach out to Rad, see what he's doing. Maybe we'll do something tomorrow. Live stream content is really nice. Not a lot of people can stay engaged with the comments and the discussion. Well, I appreciate that, Paulo. I do. And I'm going to be better. I'm going to be better next time, okay? It'll be better, especially if we do it more, you know, the practice. H2O, yes, water is... This ain't water. I don't know why I held that up. Appreciate you checking in, Colleen. But yeah, man, we gonna. Oh, and also I wanted this real quick. I want to shout out to everybody that said what's up. If you saw me at camp, I appreciate it. It's always cool, man. Pictures. I signed a dude's ball, and I had a lot of your guys' names wrote down, which I thought was really cool. Let me see. I had. I won't go through all the names here, because I don't want to. Oh, my guy Richie. I signed his ball. Shout out to Richie, man. That was really cool. Who else did I have? I don't want to read through everybody's name. Oh gosh, I can't even read that name. I'll leave some of the other ones just kind of up there. You know, I won't go through everybody's name, but you know, if you guys are in the chat, say what's up, and you know, shout out to all you guys. Know who you are. I know who you are, so I appreciate it. And yeah, we'll wrap this thing up. Cupboard, not the fridge. That's kind of weird, bro. Like originally, yes, but like, I don't know. I mean, I'm not mad at that actually. I can do it either way. All right, it depends what I mean. If it's a hot food, I kind of want it cold, but I guess most of the time it's a hot food though. Dang, I don't even know. Oh, I was there when the lady was yelling at you. Oh my, yo, that's not the first time that's happened. And it's not like I was taking pictures or nothing. You know what I'm saying? So like that's why I was like, I think I said for what? And you know I wasn't like trying to be like I knew why they were doing it, but like truly I was kind of hoping she would just look at my camera roll because usually that's what they do. Because like I don't have nothing on here. Like I wanted her to like just know like dude I'm not, you know what I'm saying, like I'm not a bro, I'm not like the first time she like yelled up there and I thought I was cool. Like I was like, oh okay, yeah, like I'll try to. She just thought I was taking like who's taking pictures? I don't know. I get it. They're doing their job. I understand it absolutely. So you know, understood. That's why I'm taking notes now. There, I just had to change it up a little bit, but like nah, I ain't taking pictures or nothing. You know, I don't need to do that. You know, we got our notes, man. I don't need to take no dang pictures. Yeah, she was singling me out, and that was tough, man. Like, yo, King, no, I think it was King. We were talking. Yo, they literally wanted to go through dude's camera roll. I think like a year ago or a couple years. They tried to go through his camera roll because they thought he was taking videos. She didn't go through mine, but you know, anyway. Hey, bro, sometimes it's just how it is. That's what I was saying. Like, I was like, bro, I'm missing plays here. Like, I really want to keep taking notes. I want to get the people, and that's why I have to get the videos out of it. I'm talking a lot. Let's get out of here. Thank you, bro, for watching. I'll see y'all again soon. And we out.